Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to call to order the October 12th, 2022 meeting of the Parks and Community Services Commission. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're so in sync. Good job. Good job. Good job. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Breed,
Present.
Commissioner Osland,
Present.
Commissioner Mitra, Commissioner Lopez Lucy,
Present.
Chair Kinnison Lee.
Here.
Absent are Vice Chair Dorlich, Committee Member Ellicott Pesic, and Student Commissioner Gupta.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go to item 4, special items and announcements with 4.1. Always a highlight of our meeting, temporary employee of the month for September, presented by Adam Chow, Recreation Supervisor.
Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for having me this evening. It is my honor to have Marlene Kleinfelter here this evening, so I'm going to have her come up with me. And so Marlene is our September Employee of the Month, and we'd like to be able to recognize her for that. She's been with us for the last several years. She was hired in May of 2019, survived the pandemic with us, and was actually very instrumental in a lot of the things that we did coming out of the pandemic at the Senior Center, helping fill in there, make sure that our Senior Center was running properly. She's been a wealth of knowledge for us at our front counters as an office assistant too. She has been providing wonderful customer service at not just the Senior Center, where she is very well known and very well liked and very well respected there, which we really appreciate, but also at the Ceremony Olympic Pool and also at the Ceremony Community Center as well. And so Marlene, as you can't tell from her right now, she is very outgoing, very excited, very boisterous, and we always appreciate everything that she does. She does know our customers very well. She knows our seniors very well, especially as she is very well loved over there. And so Marlene was recently helping us out at the Ceremony Community Center, and she's being recognized for some of the work that she's been doing down there. She did take control of a situation recently where we had a parent who had lost their child, and Marlene was at the front counter. Had the parent come to her, and Marlene was able to take control of that situation, be able to have the staff help out, look for the child. Another parent was in the or another person was in the community center, was able to help guide our staff, be able to help direct and find that child. Marlene was there with the parent, be able to help make sure she consoled the parent, kept them calm, kept them confident, was able to help in that situation. And Marlene's contributions in that situation were very welcomed, were very honest, and very comforting to the parent who was there. And so that's just one example of the many great things that Marlene does for us. She's a wonderful wealth of knowledge for us. She's a great resource for all of our staff. She's always willing to be able to give her input and provide information to us wherever we can be able to do better. And that's one thing I love about Marlene, is she's always willing to be able to help us out to make sure that making sure that we're getting a little bit better every single day. And so we appreciate Marlene for all of her contributions, all of her work. So thank you for being the September Employee of the Month.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Here you go. This is for you and this is for you.
Oh my.
And we get to read all about you before the meeting. And I love that you not only do your job well, but you look at ways to improve program process and so forth. And as a mom, I was really touched by that. You kept calm and kept that mom calm. So good job with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I thank you so much, everybody who recognized me. I love my job at the city. I'm retired, from my career. But from everyone that I work with, from the management staff, the supervisors, my fellow frontline people, the aquatic staff, the building attendants, everybody is so committed and engaged to making San Ramon's park and recreation programs the best that they can. And there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. I only know, the part of it, but whatever I can contribute to help. I live in San Ramon, and we have a wonderful city. So proud of being part of the Parks Department. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to item 4.2 and see if our director has any special announcements for us.
I always have special announcements. So I hope you all noticed the beautiful lights outside as you came in. And if you didn't notice them as you leave, in the park in the rotunda, everything is lit purple, and they're lit purple in recognition of National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Right.
And so I wanted to point that out to you so you would appreciate that. But also they're the new lights. So this may be the first time that you've seen them on. They are down the pencil lights on the promenade are much easier to change because they can do it with a clicker versus before we had the guy on the ladder taking the lid off and putting a theatrical gel on and it was laborious. So much better. I think you're going to see the lights change a lot more with the lights in the rotunda. We've got our holiday schedule kind of all planned. So we'll be getting that out to you so you'll know what's coming. But it's exciting and this is just the beginning. So I wanted to point that out. I wanted to make sure everyone's got their calendars going because we are going to have a program committee meeting on the 26th to talk about the Doherty Station Arts and Community Center program proposal. So Chrissy's going to be reaching out to get that precise time, but I just want to make sure that's somewhere on your radar. And that is Commissioners Ellicott Pesic, Thorlick, and Keniston Lee. We're also planning to have a facilities committee meeting on that same day, the 26th, to discuss the Bishop Ranch 1A park concept plan. So again, Chrissy will reach out to schedule, but that'll be Commissioners Mitra, Osland, and Keniston Lee. So those are the two of those. And then we do have the judging for the Scarecrow Scavenger Hunt on Friday, October 21st. I didn't get the list from Christy before she went on vacation, but I know she has 3 people.
Yeah.
So
And one.
yeah, I think, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Maybe
was
us
you
3. Okay.
So we're good with that. And then we did move the Croquet and Gardens joint meeting one more time. Sorry, that's been so hard to schedule. We had the project manager for Public Works got a promotion in another city. So we lost one of our key players. So while we get that reoriented, we're going to move that to January. The elections will be over. So that's probably the wisest choice. So that is right now on either 118 or 125. So really, if there's anyone planning a vacation on one of those weeks, tell me so we don't land on that date, and then I'll confirm it up with everybody and we'll be golden. And then, of course, there's some upcoming events you should know about. The San Ramon Symphonic Band concerts on October 14th. Put that on your calendars. The culture in the community. This is a big deal on the 16th. I think the staff wanted me to let you know that you're welcome to be at the city table to talk to people if you like, or if you prefer just to mix and mingle at the event, that's fine too, but you have a place there if you would like to go and hang out at the city table to talk to people. Scarecrow Scavenger Hunt, 21st to the 31st. Don't miss it. It's a lot of fun, and especially if you get to see the scarecrows when they first go up, because we have had issues with teenagers rearranging things. So we put them all back to the best of our ability, but it's fun to see them when they first all get put in there. The Trick or Treat on the Farms on October 29th. That's charming. And then as you move into November, Big Head Todd and the Monsters. Anybody know who I'm talking about here? Thank you. Anyway, if you were into that, they're going to be at the Performing Arts Center on November 5th, the Holiday Boutique with the Senior Foundation's November 5th, the Library Jazz Concerts also on November 5th. So November 5th is a big day. And then I also don't want to have to give a shout out to Lady K and the Kings of Swing, who will be on November 19th. So lots to do. We're still in that period of time when there's more to do on a weekend than you have time for. So get out there and recreate.
And it's nice that we actually get to see each other and do it. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Madam, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes,
I
of
have a
course.
question.
Sure.
On the culture, if you can't get there, when it's going on, can I then come and just come to the city place so that I won't be wandering around looking for everybody?
Yeah, you can come anytime during the event and hang out at the city too.
All righty. Madam Clerk, was there any public comment for item 4? Thank you. Okay, let's go to item 5, public comment or written communication. At this time, members of the public are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Services Commission on any item not already included in tonight's agenda. Comments should not exceed 3 minutes. There's also an option to email comments. And so do we have any public comment either in person or remotely? Any
No, we
cards?
don't at this time.
All right, then I'm going to close public comment. We'll go to item 6.1, approval of minutes for the Parks and Community Services Commission, regular meeting September 14th, 2022. I assume everybody has reviewed the minutes
Yes.
and I will entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the September 14th, 2022 communities or park community service.
Okay,
Commission
Commissioner.
minutes.
I'll second it.
Lopez-Lucy, I have a second from Commissioner Breed. And then we will vote online here as soon as we are prompted.
Oh,
We're missing one. There we go. Okay. Motion passes 5-0-2. Okay, good. All right. All right, let's go to a consent calendar. Item 7, Madam Clerk, do we have any consent items?
Not at this time.
Okay. And then we get to go to the good stuff. Commission business, item 8.1, the 2022 summer program review. We're going to receive a report from Becky Adams and Rhiannon Thomas, or I think just Becky right now.
I wish I was famous. Good evening, Chair Kinnison Lee, fellow commissioners. It's my pleasure to be here tonight for this evening with Ree Thomas, who is going to present our summer program review. Ree is going to do the heavy lifting this evening. I'm just here to help frame the information and give you some items to think about and consider as she goes through the presentation this evening. As we were developing the summer program review, we kind of struggled when we were pulling the information, and we struggled because not because we weren't prepared, but because summer 22 was nothing like any previous summer, just as we saw in summer of 2020 as well as summer 2021. In our perfect recreation world, or at least in my perfect recreation world, I like to put things in the neat little boxes and can be able to compare them from year to year so that we can see the trends and know what to offer for our community the next year. However, since COVID, there's really no longer the norm or a regular year, and we have not had the ability to put things in those pretty little boxes. So prior to the pandemic, staff had a good idea of what the community wanted, what the trends were, and how we could program for a successful summer. However, we're still in the discovery phase because every quarter and every month, we're still trying to identify the patterns and make sure that we are providing for what the community really wants and needs. I can tell you for sure that our staff did a phenomenal job this summer. As we continue to be faced with some uncertainty right until the last minute. When our staff was preparing the summer programs in November and December of 2021, we had no clue what summer 22 was going to have in store for us. However, our staff did a great job, and they continued to pivot leading up to and throughout the summer and made adjustments as needed to make sure that we were meeting the needs of our community. So as Ree goes through the presentation this evening, I want you to keep a few things in mind of the challenges that our staff are working with this summer. And so the first one is, we didn't know if that we were going to be able to have a real summer up until just a couple of months or a few months before we kicked off the summer camps at the beginning of June 2022. During the height of COVID, we had to spread out a lot of our programs because we had to have stable cohorts. We couldn't have too many people or too many kids in a single area. And our parents and our community became accustomed to that. And so this past summer, we offered more camps outside of our Camp Central that's held here at the community center. Number 3, we had fewer contractors who were offering our programs this year because a lot of our contractors that we've worked with for years and years, they went out of business during COVID. And so we couldn't offer the same number of programs that we had before. 4, we had reduced capacity because we didn't know what we could do until we got there. And our contractors had fewer employees, and so they couldn't have that same capacity in each individual camp. But we also had 60 fewer camps in 22 as we did in 2019, which was our last normal summer, if you will. And lastly, and to top it all off, the Doherty Valley High School tennis courts were closed for renovations this summer. And so we weren't able to offer any programs at those 8 tennis courts. And so those things that I just mentioned, they impacted our summer. But again, they were challenges, but our staff 100% rose to the occasion. And you'll see that
we weren't able to compare apples to apples, as nice as it would be, but we're going to show you that our team rose to the challenge and did an amazing job with the program this summer. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ree Thomas, who is our youth sports coordinator, and she's going to provide the presentation this evening.
Alrighty. Good evening, commissioners, members of the public, and thank you, Becky, for that wonderful introduction. With all that being said, I'm going to hop right into our presentation, beginning with Party in the Park, which is how we sort of kick off our summer. Party in the Park is an event that allows FaceTime between our participants and our contractors. Parents are able to meet the instructors and ask questions to get a feel for the programs and ultimately see if it's a good fit for their child. Families were provided a camp pamphlet, which provided a slight preview, and a treasure map to encourage the participants to go and meet every vendor at every table. If they completed the treasure map, then they got a goodie bag with bubble bracelets, sunglasses, and more. Okay. And then just for an overall camp overview of our summer, we had over 4,867 kiddos taking part in over 300 camps, not including the additional 471 extended care registrations in various areas such as aquatics, enrichment, preschool, sports and fitness, teens, and the arts. Okay. As you all know, Camp Central is our flagship program for elementary age participants. This program provides flexible half-day or full-day options that provides fun, educational, and active experience for participants all summer long. To name a few highlights, 2022 reintroduced extended care services, making a return to our pre-pandemic model. This basically means that we offered extended care options in the morning, 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., during lunch from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., and in the afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And again, this allowed parents the flexibility to adjust with their schedules. Okay. In addition to our Camp Central programs, we also offered 162 non-Camp Central programs that saw 1,954 participants. During 2020 and 2021, as Becky mentioned, we decentralized Camp Central and we spread to various areas of the city. Based on trends that we noticed, we chose to continue to offer several satellite camps around town, such as Forest Home Farms, Crow Canyon Gardens, Doherty Station, Rancho San Ramon, Pine Valley Gym and Teen Center, and both Doherty Valley High School and even Cal High at the tennis courts. As Becky mentioned, the Doherty Valley High School tennis courts were offline, but we were still able to have performances in the theater. Next, let's transition into a recap of each of the program areas. So now I'm going to get more specific into each area. Let us first take a look at enrichment camps. We provided camps for over 1,381 participants that included Adventure Club, public speaking, engineering, online programs, robotics, STEAM, cooking, and chess. The most popular camps that we saw were Adventure Club, Slimetopia, Chess Camp, and Engineering Camp. Lastly, 2022 marked the return of Nature Camp. Woo! At Crow Canyon Gardens, which takes us into our next slide. We offered 3 camps of Nature Camp. This reactivated Crow Canyon Gardens and introduced 65 participants to nature in their backyard. This camp met as a half-day option in the mornings for ages 6 to 11 years old. Participants explored and participated in fun activities such as scavenger hunts and learning about ecosystems, recycling, and sustainability. We were excited to bring this program back as it helps meet master plan goals by providing programs that connect people to nature. Okay. And now for the area near and dear to my heart, let's take a look at sports camps. We're able to provide over 108 camps to 2,195 participants in various areas such as beginning golf, lacrosse, tennis, badminton, volleyball, track, basketball, flag football, indoor and outdoor soccer, dodgeball, skate, scooter, and multi-sport. Sports camps experienced a 113% increase in participation compared to 2021 and were offered at areas around the city. The increase in the program participation was due in large part to an increase in program capacities. Their maximums rose. Also, we had more instructors come back for sports specifically from before, along with adding additional camps as I was able to identify need, badminton, for example. Popular camps include Crazy for Sports, badminton, and volleyball. Okay, moving forward, we're going to take a look at the arts. Performing arts offered 27 camps, 335 participants were able to get the chance to learn dance, music, and theater. Bay Area Children's Theater offered 4 camps, which utilized an original script that was designed specifically for summer camp programs. That was awesome for the kids to take part in. And then in the end, they also got the chance to perform the original script at a ticketed performance. Okay. Dance camps at San Ramon Community Center and Doherty Station Community Center took place. Longtime dance instructor, Miss Christie, taught 8 camps, including 4 Encanto camps due to their popularity. Okay. Furthermore, in the visual arts world, we provided 12 camps in many different mediums to 144 participants. Campers love being able to take the work that they create at these various camps back home and show their parents, hang them up on the wall. Okay. Preschool camps offered at Forest Home Farms for ages 3 to 5 provided opportunities for 85 campers to engage in age-appropriate activities, encouraging social development and experiential learning that involved games, crafts, and experience. Between the 2 themed categories, science and exploration garnered 49.5% versus 50.5% going to farm and enrichment themed camps. Science camp had 42 registrations and involved engineering of food, fairy tales, engineering of cities. Farm camp included 43 registrations and included activities such as 5 senses tour, animal and garden tours, singing and social development in an organized setting. Okay. Leaders in training is I feel an asset for our program. It helps build our workforce for our part-time pool. Leaders in Training is for ages 13 to 16 years old. It saw an increase in participation from 19 participants in 2021 to 44 in the summer. This program is a 6-week course on how to be a recreation leader, followed by the opportunity to volunteer at camp. During the summer, these leaders in training provided over 2,993 hours of support to our in-house programs and also provided assistance to our preschool camps as well. Leaders in Training provides a great opportunity to expose future hopeful job applicants to our programs while providing them valuable training that may be transferable to their future work or bolstering their resume as they prepare to enter the workforce. We are proud to say that 7 staff from this past summer were actually Leader in Training alumni. Okay. Moving on to Teen Enrichment. Teen Enrichment provided camp experience to over 170 participants, while our in-house teen camp Studio 925 that's offered at Pine Valley Teen Center saw 124 participants. Teen enrichment camps are generally a half day and include options such as engineering, cooking, 3D printing, public speaking, and drone aviation. Studio 925 is an all-day option that provides the ability to develop socialization skills and confidence. Participants experience weekly trips, such as a visit to San Ramon Olympic Pool for swimming fun, giving back by volunteering at the Contra Costa Food Bank, trying out their skating skills at Dublin Ice, playing games at Boomers, or seeing awesome animals at the Oakland Zoo. You will see here, Studio 925 had 17 participants that registered for multi-week sessions, but they're only recognized one time with regard to registrations. So for example, one activity is includes 3 weeks in that activity. Obviously going on for the next weeks after that, we're not going to see that registration counted because it would double it. So moving on to aquatics. Okay, aquatics offered 26 camps this summer with 433 participants. The 7 different types of contract camps offered included artistic swimming, SEAL team scuba camp, springboard diving, and tennis, and aquatics camps. The in-house StarGuard program varied in theme to keep the program fresh by incorporating different activities and projects. Themes included the great outdoors, experimentation creation, splash and craft, superheroes save the pool, and lost adventure. The city's contract instructor, Elite Swim, entered its 4th year and experienced 7,888 splashes. Swim lessons experienced a 23% increase compared to 2021. Splash and play water discoveries saw 63 splashes in its 2nd year. This program is taught by aquatic staff in the play pool and is designed to give children the opportunity to feel comfortable and confident in the water while participating in activities such as singing, games, and fun. This program acts as a feeder program into that Elite Swim program. Okay. Recreation swim is offered at the San Ramon Olympic Pool beginning in May and the Doherty Valley Aquatic Center in June. All amenities were available, including the splash and dash and diving boards. The large bucket as a part of the play structure continues to be a participant favorite in its 2nd year. Lap swim continues to be popular at both pools. And then lastly, both pools also featured dive-in movie events. Luca with 525 attendees, Captain Marvel with 365 attendees, and Sing 2, 447 attendees. Okay. Inclusion is very important to us. Our services encompass accommodations made for participants with various disabilities and considerations for participants with life-threatening medical conditions. So they're able to participate as independently as possible in our programs. Some examples, to name a few, would be vision impairment, hearing impairment, autism spectrum disorders, ADHD, and development delays. In 2022, our camp saw 58 participants participate in 65 programs. They received 94 notifications of life-threatening conditions, received 68 administration of medication forms, and provided 106 camp notifications. And this is all to keep everybody on the same page as they need to know, such as instructors and informing fellow campers not to bring peanut products or the like. Okay. And then just for our summer camp summary, to wrap this up a little bit. Overall, the department continues to provide an array of quality recreational experiences to the community, all of which is not possible without a great staff, which includes 59 part-time camp employees, 100 in aquatics, and 44 leaders in training. While many other agencies have continued to have difficulty finding staff, our department, with the help of the San Ramon Valley Unified School District, was able to capture a solid pool of 32 camp applicants, 25 of which were hired, as well as 60 lifeguard applicants, with 45 being hired. Furthermore, we enjoyed the return of many strong staff to help mentor these new staff as they come on, which is awesome for creating a solid culture and encouraging retention. As for the feedback, although it seems like summer just ended, we've already begun to plan for next summer. This side, you'll start to notice things that we're looking for regarding feedback. Currently, we have 3 weeks of nature camp in the budget. We could expand this program to provide additional weeks at Crow Canyon Garden, look at other potential parks in the community, or stick with what we have at 3 weeks. This is also something we could circle back on in future years, depending on the renovation plans at Crow Canyon Gardens. Second, as I mentioned earlier, we have a lot more non-camp central camps located throughout the community. These camps are taught by independent specialty instructors, including areas such as sports, enrichment, and the arts. We'd love to brand these camps with a name that helps explain to the community exactly what they are. Here you will see a few names that we've had bouncing around: satellite camps, camps in Ramon, specialty camps, and then, of course, looking for any other suggestions you may have. And then lastly, of course, we'd love your feedback regarding our overall summer camp program. So with that, yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you all. Becky and I are here if you have any questions, and we look forward to your feedback.
Okay, so thank you for all that great information. I'm going to open it up to clarifying questions first. So if you have any questions at this point, then we'll go to public comment and then we'll give our feedback. Okay, so anybody have any questions? I have a couple. Okay. Did you have any, Carol? No? Okay, go ahead. Why don't you start?
Well, this was in the, I think the Doherty Valley Aquatic. One of them was down by 2,000 students, so I wondered if there was a reason for that one. And that was clear back in here. I should have pulled it out. But compared to 21, it was, the comparison was down, which was quite noticeable.
Are we looking at the recreation and lap swim? Is that the one
Yes, I
that
think
we're?
so. Yeah, because it was down, see 5,003, and that was down to 3,000 and some. Was that just not as
I'm going to defer to Keith Haas, our program manager who oversees aquatics, since he is the resident expert on
probably a
aquatics.
reason for that.
It's because Keith wasn't in the pool doing all his laps. That's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's to be honest, we would have to really dig into that number. Some years are higher, some years are lower based on weather, and other factors that are going around town. I know in typically we have a high population that travels out of country during the summer. That may not have happened last year due to COVID restrictions, where this year some of those travel bans were lifted and we saw, some of that traveling taking place again. So roundabout way of saying, great question. We would really have to look into it, especially since those at San Ramon Olympic Pool obviously were up roughly 4,000. So,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, Commissioner Osland?
I think part of that was attributed to the great aquatic swim program that we allowed for lap swimming, and that communities, residents from a lot of other communities were coming over and using our pools. I think that, from years past when we discussed this, I remember that being a real increase because we had a really good drop-in program and people were buying the tickets and the packages. So
Yeah, excellent memory. Yes. So our numbers were up in those lap swim areas in 2020 and 2021, simply because we were one of the few pools that were open for the number of hours we were. So that's great recollection that those numbers are higher for that reason.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so guys, remember to use your.
don't think it's all working.
All right, Commissioner Breed.
Hey, quick question for you after I get tarnished for not using technology. Anyways, as we look at programs, how do you measure if a program's successful, or how do we determine to sunset a program? What measures we use?
Looks like I'll be taking that one. To be honest, our staff is very involved with our programs. We do constant site visits. And so we can see if the kids are having fun, if they're having a good time, if it is a successful program. Believe it or not, our parents do talk to us and they let us know if we are hitting our goals or if we're not hitting our goals. We also do surveys at the end of our programs. And so we have some of that data as well. Do we have any of the satisfaction information in your notes? Okay, we can certainly look into that and get some of that information if you're interested in some of the satisfaction rates for our programs. But to go to when do we determine when it's time to sunset a program? It's kind of the same way as we understand if it's been successful or not. If a program, if we're getting poor feedback from our participants or from our parents, or if the program has low registration, we look at local trends, we look at national trends, we look at state trends, we look at all of this and we talk to our parents, we talk to our kids, hey, what are you looking for? And so our staff, our coordinators do an amazing job and they get out there and they really, beat the pavement to make sure that we have a really good pulse on what our community wants, what they like, what they don't like. And so that's how it's a lot of observation, but then also a lot of talking to people.
Yeah, that would be helpful. If the survey data is non-confidential and your P&I, right? So to see what the feedback is on the programs, and then, I don't know if you measure break even on the programs, what we're investing versus what the payout is, right? So that's why I asked that question. The other question I have is, do we have a chart that breaks down the age group, like what age group is participating from age 2 to maybe 18? So the reason I'm asking that is there an underserved age group that we're not reaching that we should be thinking about? Should we have a summer program for them? That's why I'm asking the question.
I think we can get that information. I would have to look into it. It may be a bit cumbersome because most of our camps are for age ranges. And so for most of our Camp Central, for example, is for ages 6 to 11. And so we would have to go through each individual program, export the information out to get their ages so that we can get that data. We can look at it in age groups. So 6 to 11 or 2 to 5, teens, 11 to 13, high school. We can look at it like that. We have that information, which a lot of it was included here with the Camp Central, for example, was 6 to 11. Preschool was the 3 to 5 year olds, and then middle school was 11 to 13, 11 to 14, depending on when the birthdays are.
Okay. You'll see, when I give feedback, you'll understand why I asked the question. Okay. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions before I ask mine? Okay. So, I was noticing on visual arts that we were less than half of the number of camps that we offered back in 2019. And less than last year, I mean, for obvious reasons, but still considerably low. So I was curious about that, which obviously resulted in fewer participants. So just curious about where we're at with visual arts.
Yeah, Eric and Valentine, who is our arts coordinator, she provided us with the information that this was one of the groups that was hit hardest by COVID. And so we lost a lot of our longstanding contractors in visual arts. However, Adam and his team have been working very diligently to identify new instructors for next summer. And they already have some of those lined up. So next summer, we shouldn't be at the 12 camps. We should be a little bit higher because they've been working very hard to find those instructors, identify them, and get them on the schedule. They did. They got hit really hard because they're mostly the real small businesses for the visual arts.
And then I was wondering, in terms of the dance programs, are we with our offerings offering multicultural dances? And can you tell us a couple of the examples of those?
You know those?
Beyond like ballet and you know what I mean? Some of the stuff that my kids, when they were little, they took.
Okay. I'll defer to Adam Chow on
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks. Good question, Heidi. We try and provide a mix of different programs for sure. Multicultural programs for us during summer camps, actually, we have not done very well with that. We've tried in the previous years trying to do some Chinese dance and some Bollywood dance, those sorts of things. They have not actually done very well. And so looking at past performance and what we're offering. We haven't done those. However, there are opportunities within the community that people are still offering those camps, on their own. So it's not that we're not trying, but we see that there are other entities offering those programs. And so we don't necessarily need to offer those at this time from what we've seen and what we've heard based on survey feedback and information on that.
And I get that point. I get it that it's being offered elsewhere, but I don't want us to give up on that necessarily. I mean, let's explore if it's literally that the need is being met elsewhere and that's good enough, or if we need to promote it in a different way. But I was just curious about that one. So thank you, Adam. And then the last question I had was regarding staffing, because as we were particularly with aquatics, So as we were going into the summer, we were hearing all the stories of these towns and cities can't find their staffing. And I know you made reference to it. They can't find lifeguards, they can't find teachers. So did we avoid that problem? And what do you attribute? You mentioned our partnership with San Ramon Valley Unified School District. Love that, by the way. But can you kind of clarify a little bit more where we're at with that? And do we see any issues moving forward?
So with regards to aquatics, yes, we dodged the ball or dodged the problem that surrounding communities, the United States is having with the lifeguard issue. For whatever reason, whether it's our star guards into junior guards into the lifeguard training program, full-time staff has done a beautiful job of building the camaraderie, that feeder program. We have two really good full-time staff that work hand in hand with the part-timers. And so when the news stations started calling around, because they called various cities, they called Dublin, who also did not have a problem this year. But then you go a little further south to Pleasanton, they had issues. If you go north, they had issues. So it's, for whatever reason, we had a very nice little bubble where we did not see that problem. And so when the news called, we said, sorry, you don't want to talk to us because we don't have a problem. As you saw, the number of applicants was 60, we hired 45, and a lot of staff came back. So luckily, we did very well this summer.
Good. So you guys should feel proud of that, and whatever that formula is, keep doing that. Okay, so that was it on mine, and then we've got one more question from Commissioner Oslin.
Yeah, because I'm not clear about what a satellite camp is. Can someone explain that? Please, thank you.
So satellite camp is basically just a camp that's not located at Central Park as a part of our Camp Central program. So if it's at Pine Valley or if it's at Rancho San Ramon.
Okay, any more questions? All right, so I'm going to go to public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
We don't have anybody. Oh, we just now got a public comment from Zoom. We're going to bring them in.
Okay, from Zoom?
Mhm.
Okay, so caller, as soon as you have access and you're ready, we'll begin when the timer starts.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you so much for asking a lot of good questions. I really appreciate the sharpness of.
Hang in there, we're getting ready for you.
Can you hear me? Hello, can
It
you hear
appears
me?
we're having problems with the caller's audio.
With the caller's audio?
Yes,
Okay, are they on mute or just having trouble connecting with audio?
they're unmuted. We had a problem last night also.
Oh, okay, that same thing. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
Let's see
so
if we
I
can-
think, Madam Clerk, would it be appropriate for me to continue with Commissioner comment and come back to public comments?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, so let's go with Commissioner comments. Yeah, I'm not acknowledging you until I see you. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not.
So I'm gonna go from your side and we're gonna rotate over and come back to me, okay?
Yeah, you okay with that, Parla? So,
Is it
yes,
okay
hey,
No, yeah.
okay.
for?
Hey,
Go ahead.
so here's my comments. First of all, hey, thanks for presenting this. And I dig your logo. I think the Central Camp logo is really, really good. And I know you guys asked about some branding on the satellite camps. My feedback is how do you leverage your logo that you already have and maybe make it an offshoot of it as you look at branding, because if your brand is Camp Central, that's an icon. So that's, I mean, and I was trying to sit and think about how I'd go do that and might have feedback later on, but I think there's a way you offshoot your main brand and put it on because that's such an iconic logo. So that's some feedback on that. The reason why I asked a question earlier about the breakdown of numbers is that I do believe there's an underserved part of our children, and it's the teenagers. And I think I'd like to see us find a better way to reach them, whether it's, I have a couple ideas, but how do we survey them and really understand what the need is, if there is a need to get them more involved in camps, but and then what that could be. Could be pickleball. I don't, or it could be, spike ball, which my kids beat me all the time at. But is there something we could go do to reach like 8th grade to junior in high school? And how do we serve that community? And you might say, Steve, we already are, but that's why I asked for the data to see, right? And then my other feedback is, I think, and I'm with you, you guys are really proud of what we did with all the unique constraints with not having the contractors you did and up against the numbers and not really knowing where the world was headed. So I'm super excited for what you did. My only other feedback I had is I looked at the numbers in 2015. So I tried to say, let's get out of COVID. What was the best practice they did in 2015 to get I think it was 3,765. Was there something we did really well and during that time period? You don't need to answer, but I just want to make sure that we keep track of what do we do well, our best practice, how to carry it forward. And you're probably already doing it, but that's just some feedback, because as we're up and running the next year, you might be say, man, we killed it in 2015. What do we do? So, and then the last thing is, as we do camps, do we do share and reapply with others? I probably should ask some questions. So this is just comment, but so do we do share and reapply? Oh, and with other cities, what are their best camps? Can we share and reapply best practices there? And then nature camp, love it. Can you add a master gardener? How do we maybe pull some more of that age group in by offering master gardening, taking care of the environment a little bit more, some trends that are around the corner, but how do we leverage Croquet Gardens more? I love you guys really doing that because I think it's a really special space. So, but that's just some ideas. So I would continue to expand on the nature camps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Osley?
Well, I'm very, very impressed. I mean, it's just, as you started out, Becky, talking about the unpredictability of everything and just having to be so nimble and not really knowing how you're going to pull it off and how many people we're going to have. And then we're going to have people that are going to be able to run it and be the teachers and all of that. I mean, I'm very, very impressed that we had such a successful summer and that through 2019, 2020 and 2021 and 2022, we've managed to, keep the kids in camp and things going as best we could. So thank you, Ree and Becky and the rest of the staff for all your hard work and being nimble and really being creative with how we approach it. I think that's really been the biggest challenge, is the unknown and unpredictability. Some notes that I had here, I really appreciate your out of the box thinking too. And also the extended care being offered. I mean, I'm sure you made a lot of parents very, very happy, so that the kids are happy because they're, playing, but they also, the parents have a little more time to get things done that they need to get done. And I love our leaders in training and the aquatics training program, how we're feeding and teaching the younger kids, and then they're growing into positions on the staff. I really like what Commissioner Breed said about the teens, and that's kind of been my thinking as well. The nature camp expansion, you asked, for feedback around that. I really think, yes, definitely add more programs around that and try to integrate some teens in somewhere along that. I love that idea that you brought up with a master gardener, teaching them that would be awesome. But also during pandemic, I remember all the teens were really going out and hiking a lot. And so maybe teaching them, having some programs around hiking and using our open space and, so that they learn more about what we have here in San Ramon. I really think that's all I had to, for feedback. I'm just impressed. Great job. Keep going.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Well, thank you for a wonderful report because it's amazing to me that we have such creative people on our staff. I mean, you should be all commended for all of you, what you do, because there's just so many of you. I mean, I couldn't think of all these things that we do. I'm not that creative person, but I'm impressed that we have people like that to do it. So it's impressive. And my theory was, you keep going with your research on everything. And I think probably the teens is good. And the nature is what it was one of my things too. I know maybe next year that we might have an organic garden at Forest Home Farms, that possibly you can take advantage of that for more nature, because I think we have advantage of some master gardener there. So that would be a place that you could maybe expand that and teach them more about that. And I like the idea of the students, the high school students, with the hiking and open space and the nature there too. I think that's good. But I'm very appreciative of what you all do and make this. And working with the teen job fair, I can see that we have lots of teens that come to help and that they're very helpful and they know what they're doing. So that says a lot for our training also. So just thank you and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mitra.
So Becky, Ray, and everybody, first of all, I just echo what was told over here. It is a wonderful team doing a wonderful work year after year. Last 2 years, of course, we had the issues, we know that. And Becky, you talked about that, the uncertainty about the COVID, things like that. I, as an event organizer, I do that. So I completely agree, understand what exactly would say it's about. On top of that, I think there was another one challenge that you did not bring up, but I think you had it is expectations. You never know what people are expecting. I mean, they want you to do something, but exactly what they want, what they will be comfortable with. So that is, I think you guys managed it extremely well. Several times during the summer, I was in the Central Park. I walked by, I saw the group of kids all shouting and they're happy on that one. So I said, okay, fine, we are over the COVID now. So that was extremely happy things to see. Coming back to what Commissioner Britt talked about is teens and looking for their expectations, their need post-COVID probably is slightly different than what it used to be. So I'm looking at my 2 teen daughters, and I'm seeing their expectation as slightly different on that. So probably something to look at on that. In general, teens, of course, on that, and what they're looking for. 2 years spending time indoor and mainly spending with a computer or laptop or whatever they have, and phone on that. What is their requirements now? I think we need to do that. Truly speaking, I think they might need something different. So what is that? I don't know. I don't know about that one. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure you talked about the survey that you guys do on that. Do you change your program based on that? Like, do you drop some certain programs, include certain programs? Do you do constant changes, or is it the same thing that we carry over?
Speaking for myself, I look at the registrations from previous years, how they've been performing. And then also I'm very engaged with a lot of my programs. So a lot of the parents know me as Coach Ree. So they're more than welcome to say, hey, why haven't we tried out this camp?
Right.
And then I go out and I try and find that camp. So overall, it's just having, your finger on the pulse of what the community wants and
Right.
try to address it as soon as possible.
If I can, to add on to that, our staff absolutely looks at the survey results. And if they see a camp, even if it's over in, if it's a youth program that is going incredibly well, and we think that it could be very relevant to teens, we'll talk to that instructor and say, hey, we have an opportunity to offer a teens program. Would that be something that you're interested in? And so, yes, want to answer your question, Commissioner Mitra, is we absolutely will look at the survey results and adjust our programming for the upcoming summer based on the survey results, as well as our observations, are talking with everyone else, with the participants and the parents. We try to be as nimble as possible because, we're in this because we care, because we want to provide for the community, and that's the best way that we can do it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, my turn. Okay. So first of all, thank you, Becky. Thank you, Becky. Seriously, I'm being serious here. No, thank you, Becky, for framing our discussion around what we were up against and expectations. That's really important for us to keep in mind as we're looking at where we are and where we're going. So I wanted to thank you for that. That was really helpful. So that's good. I always love our inclusion efforts. Like, that's always a highlight for me to see how, because I'm remembering when I was a Golden View mom, Golden View Elementary School, and we would have kids with special needs out there playing with all the kids, right? It's as beneficial to the child with special needs as it is, or to the kids without special needs as it is to the kids with special needs. I love that building of community, that sense of supporting each other. And so that is really a highlight. So I love that you guys do that. So good job with that. Absolutely expand the nature stuff, because I understand there's a fiscal reality of the academic oriented programs being attractive. We know they're popular, and that's fine. But I'm also big into balance. And I feel if this function does nothing else but help people achieve balance and mental health, then we're doing a good thing. So the nature camps are important for that. And in terms of the teen programs, I absolutely thought of that as well, that we need to continue to meet the needs of that, not by any thing that you guys aren't doing, but that's an underserved population in our community, and we all recognize that. I'd like to see us look at, maybe work with our teen council on a teen specific survey where they promote it, they help develop the questions, they figure out, how do we get feedback from the teens? What are the programs and the camps that would be appealing to them? One thing I'm thinking of, because we have a very social justice, climate oriented teen community. What about a climate camp? So, I mean, I think we need to think outside the box, especially for our teen groups, right? And make them part of that process. I think that would be fantastic. Let's see here. Oh, am I going to see pickleball in the future? Is that going to be a pickleball thing? Yeah, I'm like, it's coming. I know it's coming. That's just a side note.
To just add that in there.
Yeah.
Reed does incorporate pickleball already into our Crazy for Sports program at the Iron Horse Gym. And then if we are successful in getting outdoor courts.
Yeah.
I'll put it on record, public meeting, we will have pickleball programs.
Okay. All right. And then the last thing, and her name is Becky Adams. Okay. And the last thing I would just say is, I know you guys are so busy getting your job done that benchmarking can be just that additional task to do. But I really love it when you guys come at us and say, we checked with these cities, we checked with industry organizations, and this is the trend, or this is how we engage our teens, because we know that this is this out of box program that Portland, Oregon did, or whatever, right? And I would just say, keep up on that benchmarking with other communities, because I know I really appreciated it, and it really adds to the enrichment of our program. So keep on that. But I think it's fantastic. You guys do such a great job, and it's so seamless in some ways that's why it's important for Becky to say, hey, remember, we had to deal with these hurdles, and yet and still we were able to achieve and to accomplish what we have. And Kathy, we didn't have, as I recall, hardly any, if any, COVID cases during the entire time we were working. Is that not true? With the camps? With the camps, right?
We did have COVID cases.
Oh, you
but,
did?
We managed them, and
Okay.
we followed all the local protocols.
Yeah,
and
but it was
everything we
very
had
low,
to.
right?
And so, I think there was a lot of actions taken by staff to try and keep those kids protected, and the
Yeah.
indoor kids, and the masking that we
Yeah.
did do. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, but we did have cases.
Some,
We just
okay.
We just kept it going.
Kept it going. Okay. So you guys dealt with a real big challenge and you kept it going. So were there any other final comments or questions?
Great job. Keep
Yeah.
doing that.
Thank you. That was like a highlight. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. All right. So now I'm going to go back and see, are we up and running with public comment?
Try again.
Okay, we're gonna try again. Okay, so caller, we apologize for delaying you, but we're gonna open public comment back up again and see if we can hear your
Hi.
comments.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, that's,
Hi, can you hear me?
they would have told you.
Hi, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Oh,
Hi,
yes.
hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear us, caller?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello?
Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. Finally, I'm not sure what's going on, but it's been consecutive 2 days, and it's very easy to do this too. I guess I'm always the only person calling in. So if, you know, the city feels like I am calling too much, this is a good way to shut me down. Um, you know, I have had to put up with, last time the Zoom is kind of like giving me ghost dial back, which I didn't dial. And then yesterday, you know, there was technology issue, and same thing today. I'm not sure why. Is this a cue for me to not call you guys anymore? Or, I mean, is there like anything I'm supposed to pick up from this? Or, I mean, like, is this going to be pretty much going forward every single time? You know, there's going to be a technology issue.
Caller, it's just a technology issue, so we're ready to hear your comments.
Okay, may I suggest that next time the staff, please call yourself? Because I was actually busy today, and I still, you know, spend my time to call in despite I'm 40 minutes late, and then I have to go through this again. Yesterday was fine, but today it's just getting a little bit like offensive. It almost feels like this is intentional. Otherwise, I really insist that you guys please give me AT&T access. I really am tired of communist Chinese Zoom. Okay, I want to speak on two things regarding one of the commissioners commented about the lifeguards. There were 60 applicants. We took 45, and then that there were issues north and south. I'm just wondering if it's because we offer better facilities, or maybe those lifeguards being so young themselves feel a little bit safer because we have better, you know, pool hygiene. I'm wondering, you know, what we can, you know, sort of help our neighbors up in north to know why is it that we have a more successful program, so that they can continue to also, you know, keep up with their program, because a lot of these swimming programs eventually develop into competitions, and, you know, we do need to help our neighbors, or we would just be having fun by ourselves. And I don't think that is our, you know, that would benefit us in the long run. My second comment is about the programs offered for teen enrichment. It just sounds very elementary: anime, cooking, 3D printing, public speaking. I think a lot of these programs are offered in elementary schools, 3rd grade, 5th grade. So if we still continue to offer that in high school, I wonder if they might be like tired out. I wonder if we can offer a little bit more, something more creative and entrepreneurial, such as maybe sewing, or I'm a little bit old school. I don't know about the teen girls if they're into that, but I would think, you know, sewing is a very good life skill to have. It can also become entrepreneurial, and knitting. And for boys, perhaps like wood shops. You know, it's nice to be able to make things for yourself, and that's also kind of entrepreneurial. So I'm wondering, you know, if that can be a little bit more towards a focus for the teens going forward. Of course, you know, we're at the mercy of those who can teach, but just a couple of input there. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, caller.
No, not at this time.
I'm going to put public comment on the second.
Thank you, and thank you, Chair Keniston Lee and the rest of the commission for having us here tonight. I'm Steve Cox, Recreation Supervisor. I'm here with my co-presenter, Jody Curley, Recreation Coordinator, and together we're going to present the proposed sports field sponsorship program to you. We are asking the commission to receive the proposed sports field sponsorship report and recommend it be forwarded to the City Council for consideration and final approval. The City Council at their annual goal setting workshop established this as a goal in April of 2021. So you have here some of the items we're going to cover this evening. The introduction is the City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services Department is proposing a sports field sponsorship program to provide the City of San Ramon the ability to partner with community groups and businesses to offset field maintenance costs. Substantial usage of the fields year-round is detrimental to the condition of the fields, leading to a continuous need of maintenance. Sports field sponsorships provide a unique opportunity for direct marketing rights to one of San Ramon's primary sports fields that we have here in the city. A little bit of history. We have out right past City Hall here, the Lucky A's field. The Oakland Athletics Baseball Company and the Lucky Stores developed a 10-year program to assist construction of youth baseball fields in Northern California. And in 1990, the City of San Ramon was selected as a recipient. And that allowed the construction of the Little League field that was suitable for baseball and other youth activities with an electrically lighted scoreboard. And so you still see that out there. I thought it was unique when I started. I didn't realize that it was the Lucky A's field that the two came together to make that. So that was something I learned in all of this. And as we go through this, you're going to see some of the things we propose, but we do want to bring your attention that there are scoreboards already on these fields. And one of the items we just want to bring the attention is we have an old scoreboard out there on field 2 that has the Sponges car wash billboard still on it. So we're going through options. That's one thing that's still there. Now, we know the company is not still there, but it's something that we want to point out. And with this, Jody and I reached out to different agencies as we wanted to learn more about what other agencies are doing for their field sponsorship programs. And so we went through different agencies in California. We also looked at other proposals that were through our association. And the ones that we could closely identify with some of these field sponsorship programs are what we have listed here. So you see the County of San Diego, City of Elk Grove, City of Manhattan Beach, City of Pleasanton, City of Los Banos, and then we have found the additional program, a City of Kettering. And one of the things when we were talking to these different agencies and trying to understand their field sponsorship programs and what worked for them and asking them for that feedback was we learned they offer realistic and manageable options to offset all the partial maintenance costs associated with the field, at least realistic amounts that you could ensure accurate pricing based on the demand for those sponsorships and use non-permanent sponsor designation. Sponsors might change. And so if you have something permanent that later needs to be removed, that's an additional cost. So we took this and then we put it into this table that you see here. And we tried to identify how these different agencies proposed their programs of what you received for those naming rights at those fields. So, for example, the first 3 that you see there offer a 1-year sponsorship program, but the amounts that they request are different. And that is their average 1-year total that we have. And you'll see how that goes down below that changes because some agencies request that you sponsor for multiple years. And these were all for the naming rights of some manner to the fields that they offer. So you could see all the way going down to the City of Elk Grove, then to the County of San Diego, where they have a 5-year program. It's still a total of $15,000, but it goes down to an average of $3,000 per year. And that's what they deemed was an acceptable amount and that they could actually get sponsored for those fields. So that was that realistic amount they were looking for and can actually achieve and have a business come in and sponsor those fields. The City of San Ramon Parks and Community Services does already offer sponsorship opportunities, mostly for other items like our events. And so you can see we offer sponsorship opportunities for the Art and Wind Festival, our summer concerts, fitness races, culture in the community, which is coming up, dive-in movies, and our tree lighting program. We also have programming sponsorship opportunities for items such as our theaters, our aquatics program, our senior outreach program, Forest Home Farms, and Croquet Gardens. With that, I am going to turn it over to Jody, who's going to talk about the reason for the sponsorship.
Thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm not as tall as him. The reason for the sponsorship proposal, so we're looking to offset maintenance costs through the sponsorship program, community engagement and partnership with those companies, and create a mutually beneficial agreement that benefits both the agency who's sponsoring us and with the city of San Ramon. The field maintenance costs. So estimated total cost per year is about $50,000 per year. Obviously, some of our smaller fields are a little bit less, some of our bigger fields are a little bit more, but the average is about 50,000. And that would include our staffing costs, our mowing costs, irrigation, fixtures of irrigation, watering, sod maintenance and repair, seeding, and lighting. Also noting that the artificial turf is replaced approximately every 10 years, which approximately is about the same cost as our grass fields. Examples for our sponsorship opportunities, we're looking at offering sponsorships between $15,000 and $100,000. And we're suggesting to allow the opportunity for sponsorship of individual fields throughout the city of San Ramon. This would allow the sponsoring company or individual to decide the magnitude of their sponsorship. And we would like to start off with those opportunities at our main two parks, which would be Central Park, Diamonds 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then Soccer 1, which overlays the diamonds of 2 and 3 at Central Park, and then also at Rancho San Ramon, which includes a diamond, 2 grass fields, and then one of our synthetic turf fields. Of those proposed sponsorship levels, we'd like to utilize 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year sponsorship timelines per field. 1 year for $15,000, which is about 30% of our yearly cost. 5 years at $62,500, which is approximately 25% of our yearly cost, and then 10 years for $100,000, which is approximately 20% of our yearly costs. And then Steve's gonna take it back over.
Thank you, Jody. So when we were looking at this, we were talking about what are some of the benefits to the sponsor. And so we looked at the naming and logo signage on our scoreboards. As I mentioned, we looked at that as we already have a scoreboard that has an example of that. And we thought that was a good highlight for a sponsor. So we looked at Central Park Field 1 as it has a scoreboard. And then some of our other fields that have those scoreboards that we could have that information for that sponsor put on. We looked at recognition in all print media and material referencing fields. That included, our adult softball program, our field maps, items that highlighted the programs that we already had going on. We looked at how we would add organization's logo or name on adult sports scorecards that we have, or adding scorecard holders, or adding the logo to shirts. We have an example of the shirt here. You'll see other programs that we have added logos to the shirts. The Aquatics program has a shirt where they added logos on for the sponsors. We also looked at having the organization logo on the name with the field. You'll see as we talk later, as we go to the designation, they might pick a field and then that logo will be associated with that field. Designation signage and score booth designation are most of our Baseball and softball fields will have score booths associated with them. So we look at having designation with that. Allowing a sponsorship booth at our Art and Wind Festival because it takes place here at Central Park on the grounds, and also would be a high visibility item for an organization that they may find benefit in. And then some of the field naming includes the placement of the logo in facility documents and maps. So wherever there's a designation of what that field is, we might have that organization have a logo there. Placement of the logo on the website, and when you look up the a field or a map, and you'll find the logo there. And then other items like when we post our adult sport game schedules or other schedules, when you go to that or somebody goes and visits that site, they'll find that organizational logo there. And these are a little bit of the signage examples that we had mentioned. This is kind of a rough idea of what it would look like, but you see the banner would be placed at the bottom. That would become the organization's logo and other item or information that they had. So when we looked at this, the estimated cost for scoreboards at the baseball fields and some of that information would be approximately $5,000. The cost for the sponsorship signage panel on the scoreboard, including the installation, is $500. So that's when we're looking at that semi-permanent, item that it would get the same kind of benefit there, but at a lower cost. Additional recognition costs, such as screening, silk screening shirts, score and lineup cards are minimal and could be absorbed by the existing budget. A big part of this as we were looking at this was the sponsorship by designation, and the designation of using sponsored by allows for sports fields to recognize both the sponsored by name on all the marketing materials while retaining the ability to identify the locations by their park name. And we think that provides a prominent sponsor designation, more convenient to change the sponsorship signage in the future, and less confusing to the public when identifying fields. And the example we have is Central Park Diamond One, sponsored by ABC, versus the field becoming ABC Field located at Central Park. And so if there's a change, and maybe there's multiple changes over the years, if a field had that name, it could become very confusing to the public, as versus it's always the field's name as the item that you would look for, but that sponsored by designation is what follows afterwards. And we also mentioned that limit of permanent features with sponsors' names to avoid costly replacement at future dates. We use the monuments that you have seen here through the city of San Ramon. Now, if you had that engraved and etched with a sponsor, essentially that would become permanent. And so you would then have to replace the whole monument. So we're looking for ways not to have to, do permanent structures, but those semi-permanent options for sponsors. And looking at that as part of this is what are the benefits for the sponsors, and why would they want to become a sponsor? It's a cost-effective way to reach customers and receive repeat exposure to large audiences here in San Ramon. Some of the benefits we believe would be increased brand name visibility and awareness, enhance an organization's community relevance, reinforce brand image in San Ramon by using recreation, health, and fitness as a platform, the opportunity to support San Ramon's mission and vision in a recognizable way, provide meaningful, relevant business building promotional ties and opportunities, increase goodwill with contribution to the quality of life here in San Ramon, and further evidence of an organization's commitment to the community and its position as a local and regional leader here in San Ramon. When we were developing this, one of the items that we had was how many people visit our fields or see our fields. And so to get an idea of this, we came up with this impressions per year. So you could see we have 5,175 co-sponsored youth and adult sports participants. And that equates to about 431,620 impressions per year by those co-sponsored field user groups. So eyes at those fields that are seeing the sponsorship logo or item that is out there. 40,000 impressions per year during the Art and Wind Festival. And that's the number of people that are attending that festival 5,760 impressions in the city of San Ramon's adult sports leagues, 7,470 impressions for City of San Ramon's youth sports leagues, camps, and classes. That includes 27 private field organization rentals. We don't know how many people necessarily are always there, but we have about 33,000 impressions. Excuse me. I have to turn it back over to Jody here. 33 impressions by private field organization rentals. And that does not include the impressions by the general community usage. These are people, oh, thank you, Steve. I had a water bottle back there I was about to go grab. But that doesn't include the general usage here in our parks. So imagine how many people just come through our parks on a regular basis and would see these sponsorship logos out in the park. So over 500,000 though impressions per year here in our parks from what we can assess, and it's probably much more than that. Now, a lot of this is what other opportunities might be out there. And so we started with our field sponsorship program, but we want to recognize there are other fields out there. There are other opportunities out there, and those are things that might come in the future. We know Athens Downs has their 4 baseball fields, the sports park and Tiffany Roberts Field, and the 2 baseball fields that are attached to that. We also know dog parks, cricket pitches, picnic areas, basketball courts, tennis courts, aquatics facilities and pools are all opportunities out there that sponsors might be interested in. And we're looking at what are ideal types of sponsors in our community. And these are community-based recreation, healthy living, sports, and fitness. So sports field sponsors will be considered, and this is the other side. Sports field sponsorships will not be considered if it pertains to alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, firearms, adult entertainment, politics, or religion, or other companies of similar nature. So we want to establish, some criteria on who will not be sponsors. And with that, that is the conclusion of the presentation. I did want to bring up, we did bring this to the Parks and Community Services Commission Policy Committee 2 times. We hope that we addressed many of those questions, but I know that some of the members of the commission on that policy committee can also probably enlighten on some of the questions you had as well prior to the presentation. Thank you. When we were doing our review of agencies that offered sponsorship programs, we tried to first identify those agencies that even offered these programs. And then when we spoke to them, we did inquire, what the makeup, but we know that the makeup is going to be different than the San Ramon community. What we tried to get back in the feedback was what worked for your community, and could that be something that could be applied here in our community? So that was where we came up with the offering of realistic and manageable options. It might be different from, for example, the County of San Diego, which is quite large. They have a huge, extensive program, but some of the items that they mentioned when we talked to them and endured were similar to what we might, recognizing what's important to your community, managing the expectations of what the sponsorship organizations might want. So that was really the approach we were looking at, was first trying to find just somebody who even offered something such as a field sponsorship program, because not every community offers a program like that. And so even if we looked at a similar community, they may not have offered the program. So we tried to really look at it more in the perception of what works for your community what challenges did you face? And then what could we take away from that and apply it to our community? You will see, you know, we did reach out to the city of Pleasanton. They're close by, they're a close neighbor of ours. You know, not exactly the same. But you know, we're able to give us quite a bit of insight to what worked for their community, and hopefully give us enough information that we can apply it to the San Ramon community.
Yeah, I saw that Pleasanton. I said, yeah, that's pretty similar. And we get a good database on the data on from there. Last one question is that I'm guessing this is the first time we are trying it, right? Or have City of San Ramon tried it before, other than the lucky thing that came through different way, right?
Yes, for the field sponsorship
sponsorship,
program,
yeah.
this will be the first time proposing this method of sponsorship for the fields.
So the last follow-up question is, did we or have we done any survey, like there is an interest from the business community here around to doing that?
We haven't done the survey, and more likely as of yet. Usually we'll bring this before the Parks and Community Services Commission to help us provide us some feedback as we guide that, and then we will start to look at what our organizations in the community want from the sponsorship.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson, do you have any questions? I don't have any questions for this. Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
Yeah, I do. Taking a look at the agencies that you reviewed, I'm just curious because there's 1, 5, 7, and 10 years. Were there reasons that they had these variations in length? Did they give you feedback on that?
The two that we received feedback, the city of Pleasanton, my understanding was that wanted to establish a longer term partnership. They saw a benefit in that long-term membership partnership, and were able to establish long-term partnerships. From the shorter years, sometimes I believe it was harder to establish those long-term partnerships. So that was, once again, a lot of it was, what will your community support? What will the organization support? And how long will they commit to a sponsorship program? And that's where, when we looked at developing it, we wanted to provide those options to organizations. So if they would commit to 1 year, versus there's a benefit to committing to a longer term, like a 5-year or 10-year partnership.
Steve, can I add to that? Having managed a community relations program where I fielded requests for sponsorships, sometimes it has to do with your budget and what you can build into your budget for sponsorships. So I feel like it probably makes sense to have options, because different companies have different approaches. They might want to get in multiple sponsorships. So it basically recognizes that there may be different companies that can do different things.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning the options. I think the options are important.
Yeah.
I was just curious why there was such a variation of 1 year and
You
then
mean between these years?
between these
Okay.
years. And did any of these other agencies also have a 1 year, 5-year, and 10-year option? I just am curious if you were able to find that information. I understand that, yeah, 1 year, it's short relationship. I get that, but I'm just curious why they came to these numbers.
It would
Or
be
the
something I'd have
years.
to go back and probably inquire more about why they finalized those numbers. But when we were inquiring, that's the information that we were given.
Got it. Thank you.
I only have one question, or is we talked about staffing on the last page, and it's still the same spot where it was when we chatted. So I don't know if you guys were able to, I guess my question is, how are we going to staff it and that position where this work goes, and what work will fall off that person's plate, and what will is that important work that's falling off that plate? So the rest of it's fine, but that's the only question I have. And I'm not sure we can answer it, but I continue to hammer on that
I can
one.
help out a little bit. So we were asked by the city council to do the research into a sports field sponsorship program. What would it look like? What would it take? how could we do it? And so Jody and Steve stepped up to do this special team. So if it's a priority for the city council and the commission, then we need to reorganize the work we do in order to do it. So when you ask what's going to fall off, I don't know, because I don't know if this commission and the city council will say, this is a really high priority and we want you to go whole hog. Well, if you want us to go and do all these different fields and, dog parks and everything else, well, you're right. I'm going to need to take a coordinator. I'm gonna have to pull a coordinator off something else. I'm going to have to put a lot of resources at it, and it may pay off and it may not. A modest approach where we go after a couple of our fields in Central Park is probably absorbable by multiple staff into our existing framework, but it's all scope and scale. So it's a difficult question to ask. What do you lose? I can't say. I think we've put it about 100 hours. We think we could do this to get it rolling and see what happens. That's absorbable probably, but you're right. At some point, things have to fall off. And to the summer questions you asked before, when programs hit the end of their life, the numbers are going down, something's changing. Those are the opportunities we have to do that switch. We say, okay, you know what? Volleyball, not picking on volleyball. Volleyball is great. Volleyball is going down. We're not having as many participants. Let's just let that go. And we're going to take that resource and put the staff on this project.
But Kathy, can you build in the sponsorship or the staff costs into the sponsorship fee?
Well, you have to get extra people.
Right.
So full-time staff is pretty expensive. To get a full-time benefited staff on it. I don't believe this is a task that would be as easily handled by a temp, not impossible. So yeah, you could, but that would, I think.
It would have to get bigger.
A lot.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll address in my comments at the end. So
Okay.
thank you for answering the question.
All right, Commissioner Osland?
Yeah, I just had one more question around that and sort of in alignment with staff. Would this be something that would be, if we did the 1, 5, and 10, would this be like an annual fall quarter kind of promotion so that you would be promoting it maybe in the summer, but then the contract would be signed in the fall? And so that would be the rhythm of the 1 year or the 5 year or the 10 year. That might be a little bit in the weeds, but just kind of thinking how to streamline this so that it's not like, okay, now we're going to bring it, it's just going to be random. And then it's a lot of work. So just curious if there's been any thought around that.
The initial thought is that if, we go out to a program to see is what interest we receive, it would be an annual, taking that sponsorship or depending on how many years they choose to have that. I don't think we had gone as far as saying it was going to be a set time though. So if you're talking about a January or maybe in the middle of I think the initial thought is let's see what kind of interest, because sponsors might come in at different points of the year, depending on when they have available funds to become a sponsor. So I don't think we'd want anybody to feel like you have to wait because it doesn't fall within the right timeline. Of course, we would work with those sponsors and organizations to help them. And then we could look at, what it establishes and how long they become a sponsor. Maybe at the end, we would have it align with, if we wanted to end at a certain date.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. We're going to bring them
Okay.
on.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, caller. Go ahead.
Okay, you can hear me, right?
Yes, thank you.
Would you kindly please not echo me? I can hear myself. Thank you. I just want to say that because this item is agenda'd, I'm going to compel you to please answer my questions per my Brown Act right. But before that, I have the comments. First of all, I want to thank the staff. I can see that you guys have put in a lot of work. Unfortunately, though, I feel that the city council is failing us because they really don't have to make you work so hard. but they just wiped away $2.5 million worth of fees from a developer that really could go into, maintaining our own sods and, fields, and yet they choose to give $2.5 million to the developer and yet make you staff work so hard. This is really bad business, but I guess it's American government. So my question, my question is, there was, sorry, I can't see your names, your faces. So I heard that there was a female presenter, and she said that the average income is $50,000 for the sponsorship, which per page 32 of your 90-page packet begs to differ from what she said. Some of them, I would think that the average is not even 20,000 if you do the math on per that page. So I'm not sure why she has $50,000 as average. Also, so that's my first question. My second question is, why is it that we are it just seems like a game. When we can be self-sufficient, we go and knock on, our peers' doors, other cities, and say, hey, would you sponsor us? I'm wondering, why are they interested in sponsoring us? And that leads me to, want to ask you, do you sponsor them? Are we spending money to sponsor other cities, and doing the same thing? And number three, lately, I'm seeing a lot of liberal movement about changing names, of streets, of, certain venues, because, they think it's social justice to play the name game. So I cringe and I almost want to, shiver when I say that this is about naming rights. I'm not sure what we're going to end up getting. And if, say, I don't like the name, I'm going to challenge you in court because it's a racist name to me, then what are you going to do about it? So those are the three questions I'm compelling you to.
No problem. So the 50,000 is an average for the maintenance cost per field. You're welcome.
And so, Sheriff Steve, would you like to get us started?
Yes, but Commissioner Lopez Lucy was part of it and she was amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we wanna have
okay.
her here.
Hey, here's my, a couple comments. First of all, thank you guys for so much work. And as Kathy said earlier, this was over and above your everyday job. And I know going through the policy committee, we had a lot of conversations. So thank you for being patient. But my personal opinion is you have a really solid, concise package that as we present it to city council, we say, what's the benefit of someone sponsoring our fields? What's a process we're going to use? What's our fees, which are very defendable? I think we're going to very defendable fees. And if we get into negotiation, whoever handles this can handle it, but it gives us a jumping off point. So we have plenty of data to defend what we're asking for. So I thought a really good job. And I like, even though we've gone back and forth, I like how we started with something we can chew, meaning why not do all the fields? Why not do everything else? We need to, I think Kathy put it in the right ways. We need to, kind of walk before we run, to use an analogy on that, and get the right best processes and best practice in place. So Steve and Jody talked with us about it. So that's, I think, the right way to achieve this, and kind of sold me on it. So I think that's the right way to go. So we have a really good package as a city. And I think we have businesses in the city, Steve and Jody and Carol and I have chatted about that would go after, that would want to partner with the city to go do this. So I thought you guys have done a good job. I think the rationale behind what we're trying to go do as a city to get the right process in a way, and also the benefits for the business community is really in place and pretty solid. So that's my comment. So I'm super pleased with the work you did. So my only feedback would be, when we present to the city council, if you choose to do this, something comes off. So, I mean, people need to know they're making choices, right? And then the other thing is I would like, if we do proceed, because I think we're fine, I'm fine with moving forward, but if we go forward, what's our scorecard? I'd like to know how we're doing. So how is a report back to city council? How's a report back? I would include that to say, if we move forward, here's our processes in communicating our results or how we're doing, because we're not doing very well. Maybe we should stop doing it, but we need to have a feedback loop on that. So that's what I would incorporate. I just hit me while I was sitting here or when I read through it again. So I know I took a ton of time. Commissioner Kennison Lee, but or chair, I'm sorry, that's just my feedback and how I feel about it because it was a lot of work. So yeah, so good job.
We'll go to Commissioner Lopez, who is also on the committee.
Thank you. Well, I think we agreed wholeheartedly as a committee that we thought that they had done an excellent job of investigating and getting it down to where that we know where we would be going and what we would asking and what the community can receive. Excuse me. So I think we thought the thing that is, as Steve said, that we should do, 1 or 2 fields and see how it's going in the process. But this also brings the community together, that they have more input of what they feel in the community. So we felt it was a situation that we feel that we have the facts and we know how to do it, and that we should try this and see if it was working. And if as we say, if it doesn't work, then we need to get the feedback so that we know how to proceed. But we feel that it's a good way to start and to recoup some of our expenses. When you figure 50,000 a field and how many fields we have, that's a lot of money. So it makes sense to do this. So the committee was very in favor of this.
Commissioner Mitra.
So, hey, Steve, Jody, first of all, I echo with what has been said here. I can definitely see what enormous amount of energy and effort you guys put in to create that. So this is really highly appreciated. Although I have a few questions about that because I was not clear, but I think if it is successful, it's going to be a very good revenue stream for the city going forward. We do spend a lot of money to maintain our fields, all the facilities that we have. So if we can get some money back through the revenue stream on that, so it is very well worth it. And knowing that you guys put in extra effort on that, thank you. Kudos to you guys.
I'm in support of this. I think this is like where we need to go, and it does offset the costs. I would like to look at process. I think that I'm pushing for a 5-year sponsorship adds more value to the sponsor because they're up longer and there's less, back and forth changing it. So that would be my recommendation. But I get that sometimes coming up with if $65,000 is the sponsorship for 5 years, that might be something that a firm might have to plan for. So anyway, I'm in support and appreciate what the policy and finance committee reviewed and all your work. Thank you.
Okay, so absolutely, yes on sponsorships. I love the idea of partnerships. That's the trend, and that's what we should be doing. We should be looking to partner with our businesses because they're an important part of our community. I love the idea of building business citizenship, having them feel invested in our community and our community feeling invested in the businesses and frequenting them to show that they appreciate that partnership, right? So I love that. I agree with the sponsored by approach as opposed to permanently renaming a field. That makes sense. That's just fiscally, it makes sense. Transitionally, it makes sense, really important. I also like the phased approach, starting with some big fields. I would like to bump the pools up a little bit higher on that list because the commission just toured San Ramon Olympic pool today, and there was a nice giant scoreboard staring at me saying sponsor, sponsor. So I could even see that honestly being part of the first phase, but certainly the second phase. So I'd like to see that. And there are certainly that is a well-loved, well-used facility that any sponsor, I'm sure, would be happy to take advantage of that sponsorship opportunity. The one thing I will say is that, as always, I'm always really conscientious about the look and feel of any signage that we put out there. You know, we kind of pride ourselves in San Ramon on a look and feel that meshes with, it's not, you know, an eyesore, it kind of meshes with the vibe and the look and feel that we have and the natural state that we have. And I want to make sure that our signage, our sponsorship signage reflects that. Obviously, we're dealing with logos, but let's incorporate it in a way that makes sense for our community.
Yes, and so receiving the feedback right now, we'll take that and I'll consult. I'm going to talk to Keith and get that information, but yes, yeah.
But
Yeah, can I move a motion? So I'm just kidding. I like to move that that we forward the sponsorship proposal to the city council.
I second.
she was on the committee, I gotta give her to tie, I'm gonna give that one to Carol Lopez Lucy, Commissioner Lopez Lucy. Okay, so we have a first, we have a motion, we have a second, and we're ready for a vote.
My voting buttons aren't working, so I'm just telling you.
So you're either beeping on this side or you can't.
I am the toy that doesn't work on the toys, broken toy island.
So.
Yeah, can we, yeah.
Oops, or- yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Oslin,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra,
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
Yes.
Chair Keniston Lee.
Aye.
Okay, motion was approved.
Motion carries.
Yes.
Nice, okay.
Well, Sam, not me. I just.
Okay. All righty, onward and upward here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All right, let's go to item 8.3. I was presented like it's an option. Hey, we'll put it. Urban Parks Educational Presentation by Ramon.
All righty. So to provide a little background here, we know that we're going to have some more urban areas in San Ramon as we continue to grow, and specifically as our core builds out and we get a little higher density. Some of that, those conversations around mixed use and sorry, one technical difficulty I can see because we've still got the screen.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you so much. We know that we're gonna have this. So what I thought would be helpful to all of you would be to do a little education. So I went and did some research on urban parks so that I could educate myself and then in turn give you all some of the knowledge that I picked up. And then in that way, it also provides an opportunity for you guys to discuss what it is you think is an urban park and how you perceive some of the features that you would find in urban parks might fit in San Ramon. This is all in preparation because we have our first Bishop Ranch Park coming to the commission. I think I mentioned it'll be going to the facilities committee at the end of this month and then to the full commission in November or December. And so rather than here's a conceptual plan and you don't have an opportunity to talk about it, we can now have a moment for you all just to kind of ponder what is an urban park and how is it different and what should it be? So I think we still don't have the PowerPoint up though. Possible it was stuck somewhere. Oh, there we go.
Look
That's
at
what
that.
I was looking for. Okay, so. There we go. So definition of an urban park. So. I'm gonna put up here too. All these different slides and fills and this is good. what is an urban park? So I went to look and find out what exactly, the definition is. I thought, well, surely there's this very specific definition of an urban park. But what I discovered is that it's still one of those terms that's kind of evolving. Australia used the term urban park to define very large parks. And I found the Wabash Valley. Just trying to get this slide there, sorry. And Wabash Valley specifically had a website, and I liked a lot of what they said, and so that's what I've kind of included here. So it's a place that provides a place for rest and relaxation. It encourages spontaneous social interaction, social gatherings, gives community members access to nature, provides physical exercise, can reduce neighborhood crime, improves air quality, supports biodiversity, health control, temperature, and humidity, to name a few things. And then there were a couple of these other really fabulous quotes that I really liked. And so I also included them because I think they kind of start to frame what is an urban park. So urban parks are beneficial and even critical parts of cities and communities. They provide residents and visitors a place to relax, exercise, and have social interaction with neighbors, friends, and family. That concept came up over and over and over again in all kinds of places when I tried to figure out what really is the crux of an urban park. This last quote is also a good one. It should be easy to get to and connected to the surrounding community. Switch this copy. Accessibility. It should be safe, clean, attractive, and there should be a place to sit. Comfort and image. Most important of all is social ability. The park should be a place to meet other people on an integral part of community life. And so as I found these quotes and I found these definitions, it just kept screaming our walking district and screaming what this piece is that thing that we want to have. So also looking at the City Park Alliance, the benefits of urban parks, they kind of went a whole step further on this and talked about urban parks encouraging active lifestyles and reducing health costs because people are active, strengthening local economics and creating jobs because people can walk and get to their recreational areas. The urban parks make cities more resilient, they increase community engagement and reduce crime. Urban parks help clean the air, improve public health, and urban parks are a tool for cities to achieve their equity goals. And so when you think about it, if you're I want you to visualize yourself. Now I'm in a more urban area and I've got all buildings around me, their houses and apartments and businesses and everything. And there's a big cement area. This is the middle, right? So if that place is engaging and there are people actively out there and you can see through it and you can engage with it and it draws you to it, you feel safer and you take more ownership of it. An area with nothing in it doesn't feel like you own it, doesn't feel like a place that you want to be, and you'll be less likely to help protect it. So when you look at San Ramon, we've traditionally built neighborhood parks. I think we just figured out we're 62 parks. I think that's what public services told me. And most of them, by and large, are neighborhood, community, or special recreation areas. So when we look at our traditional, let's just go out in Doherty Valley. Generally, they're 2 acre or more. They have dedicated parking. We always make sure we've got someplace to park that car. They all, the majority of them have bathrooms. Picnic tables, barbecues, shade, benches, water fountains, trash cans, dog and water bowls. We always have 2 playgrounds, one for the little kids and one for the older kids. They're better if you want to get right to it. We always have a sport field or a sports court or a dog park or both. You know, some kind of amenity there. Some of them have public art. There's always a big open grassy area or field for picnic and play. And generally we got this exterior walking path. I mean, so that would be there's differences to all the parks. This is kind of the basic. But now when we start looking at what is this urban park thing, it's definitely going to be less than 2 acres. They're going to be small. There's not going to be dedicated parking. That's not going to be a part of how that area and those neighborhoods are probably going to work. Not all will include the bathroom. It's an option. It's something you can all talk about. But when you get into a smaller space, we're probably not going to have bathrooms in every single space. It may or may not have children's play features.
the traditional, we're gonna build a playground and student sets for the 3 to 6-year-olds, and then we're gonna build one for 8 to 12-year-olds. Is really not as typical in this urban kind of setting. More adult and multi-generational amenities are more what you'll see. Many more seating and gathering places with shade so that people will come out and gather in them. Lighted for safety and walkability. Our parks right now are dawn to dusk. They go dark at night. You're not supposed to be in them. We don't want people in the parks at night because that can increase problems out in neighborhoods. But the reverse is true in an urban park. You need them to be lit because if I am in a walkable community and I went to the city center and I had dinner and then I went to the movies and now I'm gonna walk back to my house. If I have to walk through a really dark, bushy park, I'm gonna feel like I'm gonna get mugged. And so I'm not gonna feel safe. And then I'm not gonna wanna walk. And that's not the point of trying to make this open urban area. So by nature of where they're gonna be, they're gonna need to be more lighted. They're gonna probably need to be more open and feel less dense foliage. Again, not completely, but I'm going with big generalities. You see in lots of the ones in the images I've got for you and what I looked at, lots of textured pathways. And I found this to be really interesting, but that's one way to define and make the surfaces more interesting and to create visual interest in the space. So it's not just most of our parks have pretty much a very simple path. It's probably the same concrete or the same asphalt. There's nothing special about it. It just is a path. But in urban parks, you see all kinds of paths and all kinds of interesting textures to enliven space. And finally, urban parks can include lots of things: plazas, pathways, public park, fountains, and other amenities. So then, so who's gonna use our park? Now, certainly everybody could, because that's the whole point of having these publicly accessible parks in a walking district. We want everyone to use them. But we also want to look who's living directly next to it. So they're building, apartments, and they're gonna be building probably some condos eventually. We think that the apartments are probably the most attractive to the young professionals who have jobs. They want to come back to this community. They're not quite making enough money to purchase their own home. They like the idea of being close to the city center where they can get food and drink and entertainment. They like being together. They want to be able to get on the path or jog or bike and be able to access recreational activities. Young families also are probably going to be attracted there, especially if they want to come back and be close to maybe mom and dad who live here. They want that babysitting opportunity. They want to build that nest egg so that they can afford to buy. And then we've got those active adults and seniors who maybe are San Ramon residents. They had a giant house with, 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, and now there's just a 2 of them. Well, wait, why don't we go move there? Because then we can be active and out and enjoying our life and not gardening in the backyard. And then, of course, we're in community. So you have to think about who the primary user is, who's the secondary, and then who else is going to want to be in this space. So I went and I looked and I found lots and lots of parks, but I grabbed just a few to kind of inspire. So South Park, San Francisco was one that I thought is particularly engaging and showed a really interesting, this is a truly urban park in San Francisco. Also, I think it's a good one for you to see because Fletcher's studio is the designer who's been working with Bishop Ranch on this first park. So you kind of get a sense of who they are. But this one, they can describe it as contemporary interpretation of the picturesque. And it's really this path that winds through while reviewing all these different interesting things. It's got that great, it's an art piece and it's a place that is a place to sit. It does all three, that silver kind of wave piece that's in the park. And they've done a lot with surfacing on that path because it's engaging as it moves through the park. And again, it's fairly open. It's not really crowded in, but it's still green. You still get a sense of nature and connecting with nature, but you're not hidden from view. So it's very visible. This Nashville Riverfront Cumberland Park, this didn't really classify as an urban park, but I included it because I felt like some of the design principles really kind of hit in the same area. in that they combined some really unique features, specifically play features, in a very modern design, and they're kind of integrated together. So when you're looking at this, you can see that those little hillocks that they've got a spinner in, those are in the bigger picture, they're kind of right there, little hills, and they're hidden a play feature right there in that part of the park. And then they put a path kind of through it, an interesting path, interesting use of space. In this case, they even have a spray park. So it's just with another kind of a unique modern twist I thought would be inspirational to you all. The Houston Center, this is another one that is interesting. So if you think about this Houston Center, if this was just what it could be, which is just a big cement area, you could just be just that. And it wouldn't be attractive, it wouldn't be building, and it wouldn't want to pull anybody into it. But what they've done is they created this space that has green and seating areas and that crazy spiral staircase. So they made a space that people want to come to, and it's very inviting. Those are big buildings. Nothing about any of those buildings do you go, oh my gosh, these are huge. That's much bigger than anything we'll ever have. But I think it's a good way to look at that when you can take a small space and make it be something, a place that people want to go. This next one, of course, I had to include simply because I do love a creative play structure. And I think when you're looking at this urban park idea, again, your traditional cookie cutter play structure with the plastic tube and the slide, you can see them all over the city. It's probably not the right place to take that space and put these giant play structures in, especially when you think about how close Central Park is, even, all the other parks around us. So you may want to open your mind to think about some of these more artistic play structures and how they can be equally engaging or even more interesting for their difference. In this case, this is a really interesting one because there's tunnels. I don't know that I like the tunnel part, but I think if I was a kid, I'd probably think it was amazing. And they've done a lot of really creative use of how to make something that doesn't necessarily look like a play structure. It looks a little more like modern art, be a really fun play structure. There's a slide. I think you can see that in the bottom right picture. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so clever. That's a slide. It takes a creative kid, but it's a slide. And then this is probably a little more traditional of a concept, this Pulaski Park. It's, but it's super inviting. So when you look at the pictures of it, even you're like, oh, I want to go sit there. That looks like a really nice spot to sit. They've got these Italian lights and these beautiful terraces and all these seating areas. They're using different kinds of surfaces on the paths again to kind of define these different spaces. And then mixed into it, they have these lovely nature moments for children and families. And so, again, that same open field, you can see through it. It's not so big and bushy, but you feel connected to nature and a green space, which people living in the apartments are going to need to have access to nature and access to green space. I had to include this because I just love this image. So I always want to point this one out because I just think it's so absolutely fun. These are glow in the dark swings that are for adults and children, and they glow, like just sitting there, they glow purple, but I guess I might have it wrong, they glow a little blue, and then as you swing them, they glow even brighter. But it's an interesting thought, again, in an urban setting, to think about the fact that swings aren't just swing sets for children, that you can have a seating area or a thing that might be applicable for adults, teens, and children by thinking about the space differently. Now, if you put this piece next to a children's playground, everybody sees, it looks like it's like, oh, that's a children's swing. That's not for me. If you take a swing element and you put it in a park that has lots of elements that are intergenerational, now that swing element has become applicable to me, to the kid, to the grandparents. In this particular installation, they were made so that people would communicate together and swing together. So it just raises you again to think about how we design parks really drives how people use them. And this particular urban setting has just a different way that you need to start looking at it. So then I just went for some imagery for you, just because I thought it would also help you to be able to see some different kinds of pictures of pathways, how they look, what different textures look like, how they give you a different feel in the different spaces you're in, and how that can, again, be another very useful tool in kind of a more urban setting. Also, that redefining the park bench. So does the park bench have to look like the same green park bench or blue park bench that we have all over the city? It can, and it's a beautiful bench, and it's sturdy, and it's ready to go, and it's consistent. But there are a lot of other ways to look at seating in parks. Specifically, one of the trends right now are the hammock parks. So everyone's got a hammock park. So we're going to need a hammock park eventually, or a hammock area. And it's perfect, especially when you think about it in an urban setting. So I'm living in an apartment, don't have a backyard, but there's the hammock area. It's in this nice little kind of quiet corner, and there's hammocks there, and I can just go and get my book and bring my, bottle of water and swing. And so, again, attributes that are different, a different way of thinking, or the giant chairs, where you can go and interact with them. They're public art, but they're also a giant chair. You can stay there and you can take a photo with it. So just a different way to think about benches. And then public art with a function, like that first park where they had that piece that looked like a piece of public art, but was actually a climbing structure. There's a lot of that out there right now. You're seeing bike racks. Those two bottom right pictures are bike racks. An amazing grate for a tree that's very functional. And then these other pieces, which are really designed for people to sit or lounge on or interact with, that really kind of redefine public art in a space like an urban park. So that's everything that I have, but now this is really less about anything that I discovered and more about you all being able to talk about your impressions, your thoughts, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you, what you think makes sense, what doesn't. It's really for you. So because by the time you see a park again, you won't have an opportunity to just talk about this.
Thank you, Catherine. That's great. Okay, so with the commission's permission, I'd like to go straight to public comment and then lump the questions, comments together from us to have a discussion. Would that be all right with everybody? Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment? Yes, we do. Okay, thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I
thank you.
can actually hardly hear you guys, but I could hear the clerks whispering to each other for some reason. My question is, the city council just waived $2.5 million from Anton Development yesterday or last night. I think, Ms. Hyman, you always do excellent job and your presentation is top notch, but I don't know where you're going to find the money to do so if we don't require the developers to, to put in their share. There simply isn't anything in the coffer. So what are we going to do next? Are we going to offer our trees and streets for sponsorship and naming rights now? What about vehicles like Danville police cars now can be offered for sponsorship? I'm not sure why we're gonna, this just seems a little bit oxymoron to me. I'm sorry, I'm a taxpayer. So I don't understand why that when we can easily get millions of dollars, for these type of projects that really increase our quality of life, and yet the council just zilch them out with one stroke of their finger push. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm not sure how you're going to get the funding. I'm willing to offer my house if you want to name my house, to get some money. If you would take that opportunity, but I'm not sure where you're going to get the money from. Thank you.
Caller. Okay, any other public comment? There's no other public comment. So let's open it up for discussion, and should we go start with Commissioner Mitra?
Yeah.
Do you wanna-
So just one quick question, Kathy, about this, because I was just wondering about the whole thing is the discussion, like why are we something coming up? So I think I get it from how you introduce the whole subject. I get it, what you are talking about. So is this that going forward, this is what will be more introduced, like beer project that we have a small 2-acre project park. So is it you are saying that going forward, the new projects will probably have more and more of this kind of small urban parks? Is that what is the whole?
Yeah, in the Bishop Ranch master plan, so that big development agreement that was created, there are several smaller parks that are all on there attached to their permit approval. So you're going to see those come through. You'll still probably get other neighborhood parks. So you're going to see both. It's not like you're just going to see one. We're also going to get the Woodlot and Henry Ranch. Those are neighborhood parks. So those are traditional neighborhood parks, but you're also going to have this mix that the city has just never seen because we don't have these smaller spaces.
Thanks.
That's it?
Yeah.
Commissioner Lopez.
When I started reading this, I was like you, I didn't know about a urban park. I mean, when you put this in here and then I'm thinking, and then when I got into it, I'm thinking, yes, I think you'll see these more, and I think you'll see them more in our city because we're developing more. I mean, there's in planning, we know that we have several issues that are coming up, applications that we're going to have large facilities. And I see these as a way to bring some things in that when you live in these positions with 4 or 5 or 6 stories, you need something because you're not going to have a big backyard or whatever. So some of these things I think could be very much used in those areas. And I think that the people living there would like them. My only thought is these big chairs for seniors are not comfortable. It's just my feeling of like, oh my God, I don't want to sit in one of those. But anyway, but I think it's an idea that we need to pursue and that we have to look at because we're not going to be building homes that have yards and there's not going to be a lot of space for, big. And I see that in the foreseeable looking at the planning commission that I see that these could fit very well in there. And some of these issues, it's some of these things that you could put in there nicely in different areas. So I think it's something that we face in our city as it's growing.
Thank you, Kathy. I love looking at all these pictures and I love it when I go to new cities or old cities or San Francisco. And I just came back from Massachusetts and New York and Michigan. And there's a lot of these that I saw in my travels. And what I think is most important is our social infrastructure and how we create these spaces that create community bonds and community focus. So I think looking at all these wonderful ideas of attributes that could go in them really kind of depends on the space itself and what surrounds it is what's going to kind of determine what or if anything goes in it. So, but I love all these imagery and I love all the ideas and it's going to be fun to start to explore some of these options. I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if anyone's heard of the 15-minute neighborhood, which is a neighborhood that can meet a resident's daily needs within a 15-minute walk. And I think that's something that we should also, we're Parks and Community Services Commission, so that's not really under our purview, but it's about having the amenities for shopping, for going to the library, for recreation within a 15-minute walk from your home and in schools. So just a concept and it's a planning concept. And there are many cities that are working on that and incorporating that into their communities. The other thing I think that we should think about is rooftop parks as well. They're plentiful in San Francisco, and those are other creative ways of using public space for people to gather. And that's kind of how I see this. It's not necessarily a place to recreate, but you could. But I think it's a place for people to gather and do various different things, to chat, to play music. The other thing I was thinking is that I didn't see in any of this is possibly integrating maybe some small performance stages for maybe some guitar playing, music, because people love to hear musicians out in public. So the only other thing I was going to mention is bicycles. How do we integrate them into this? I saw the bike racks in the images, but I also know that people are going to be riding bikes. I'm assuming our pathway through the walking district and through these parks will be also navigated with strollers and bicycles and maybe some skateboards and wheels. So, but thank you. I love this stuff.
I'm daydreaming in the hammock. Like Davis, right? We had him Davis.
He's sitting in the big chair.
No, the hammock. Hey, first of all, Professor, I think that the one thing that we need to do as a city, and I try and do in my job every day, is how do we look around the corner on what's coming at us, and how do we prepare ourselves for what's coming at us? And I think being educated is really important. So I took the section as really, I can't thank you enough for educating me, because I didn't feel super comfortable with these concepts. So that's when I learned the most. So I appreciate that. So that's kind of how I took this. And then it had me thinking, and I think you said it earlier, is who is a customer, or who is a citizen we're serving when we put a park in a location. So, if we come up with an urban park, who we serving and who is a high user, and then how does that fit into our master plan, right? First, when I came on commission, it's all about shade. Heard more about shade than I ever thought in my life. But the point that you've taught me when I first got on, and I think we always considered, is as we do anything, how does it align to our master plan that the city has in place? So, and where's the link? And is a master plan, and I'm gonna go home and look, but is a master plan address an urban park the way it should? So, and if not, we need, maybe might be something we need to think about. But anyways, those are my initial thoughts on that, Kathy. And I personally was thinking, when you saw the hammocks up at Davis, and I know Commissioner Kinsley had a daughter that went up there too, is that they have hammocks all over the place for the students, and how much was used for shade. So I definitely have a lot of ideas going through my head, but I need to do more. I need to learn more before I give any input on a park. But I do believe that there should be principles in place that, that we align to the master plan, and, there's certain things that we shade and openness, and Commissioner Austin said two of my points that I was thinking about, so I'm not going to repeat them, but those are really valid too. So, but I think having principles going in was a good guiding, I guess, guardrails for us as we think about it. So that's my comments. But once again, I think it's important that we as human beings stop and learn, and that's what you did. So that's all, like I said, I really didn't have a whole lot. I was actually dreaming about being on the hammock when I saw that, but I didn't have a whole lot of thought. But thank you for taking the time to educate. And really, the important part is we need to look around the corner, and this is something we need to look around the corner. It's coming at us. So thanks.
I can't agree more. Oh,
Can I add one more thing?
of course you can.
I raised my hand.
Yes. You know what? You use that term, social infrastructure.
Yeah.
That was a great term. I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Nice.
I already said it, but you
Love
go ahead
that.
and you can add on to that. But the other thing that Commissioner Breed triggered, and I had written it down, was intergenerational strategy. So I want us to really think about, all the different age groups that these urban park spaces can touch. So
For sure. Good addition. Thank you. But I was going to say, I could not agree more with Commissioner Breed, in the sense that I so appreciate, Kathy, that you are being proactive. We are so lucky with our staff that they look ahead, and Kathy, you're at the helm of that, because we are gonna see, obviously, in our city core, more dense development. And, you know, many of us have yards. We're very fortunate to have that. And we also get to go to neighborhood parks. That's part of what we love about our city. But I sort of put myself in the shoes of somebody who's in an apartment or in a condo who doesn't have a yard or a very small yard. It makes park space for those residents that much more critical, that much more important, right? And so I think that's just so essential. I think I did also make a note about the multi-generational thing. I think that's very important. And I don't think we're necessarily, aside from those light up swings, I don't know about how multi-generational, but those were pretty cool. But I think that places to sit, because we know in all this studying, all of our entities are doing, all of our staff and commissions and committees, we know that people are looking for places to gather. And I actually was saying, I love that you use that term social infrastructure, because even in our retail setting, people are looking for experiential retail. They're looking for places to get together. And we know that builds community. And we know that's a big function of what we do on the Parks Commission is we build community. And so we need to do that, especially for our, you know, places where we're building denser housing. So I think that's really critical. I had a couple other things I wanted to say, but I was really keying in on that one bullet point item, and I talked to Kathy about it, where it says that these urban parks reduce crime. And Kathy, can you just spend a minute and tell us what the rationale is behind that?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have a lot. If you dig into each of these websites,
Yeah.
which you can, which is why I did include the resources. But when people buy into a space in their neighborhood, when it becomes their gathering space, a place that people connect and want to be, then if somebody's out in the middle of that, you're in your apartment and you hear someone start yelling, help, help, help. That's your park, that's your space. Those are your people in your community. You're connected to them. You'll run out there and help them. If this exact same situation happens in just a big empty, space or in some big bushes, all kind of dark, do you run out there and help them? No, you pick up the phone and you call 911. And it's that ownership piece, that connection piece. So they do reduce crime in those kinds of parks because you connect people. And that's what's exactly what you're saying, is that people who are connected in their community are better and there's less crime in those spaces.
Yeah.
That, and again, being able to.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. That was really enlightening for me. But yeah, I mean, I think this is really exciting. And I too am excited to have those park opportunities to give feedback and input on the design to come forward to us. So that's really exciting. So I don't know if anybody else has any additional feedback for Kathy or questions that you'd like her to dig into a little bit more as it comes back to us. I do think one thing that I did think of is we have a certain look and feel of San Ramon. And for me, it's always that balance of where do we go push outside the box, right? And think of something new, because this is a new land use for us in many ways, right? And where do we also sort of continue with the look and feel or the approach to parks that we value in our community? So I think we'll explore that as these things are brought before us. But it's interesting to kind of look outside the box and see what that might mean for San Ramon and see how we can do this right. So it's exciting. Thank you, Kathy, for doing that.
You are so welcome. I would encourage you all to, do a little internet surfing, pick some of the bigger cities you like Portland or wherever, and search their park system and there's always images, and you can kind of go down a rabbit hole, but it's also very interesting and educational.
Yeah. Thank you for all that research. Okay, so let's go to 8.4, the Arts Advisory Committee recommendation, and Mr. Brad Morris will tell us what we need to do.
Yes, Chair Keniston Lee, thank you very much. Commissioners, staff was recommending the Parks and Community Services Commission approve Rajni Benachkari to serve as the alternate number 1 with the term to expire March of 2024, and Patricia Valentine to serve as an alternate number 2 with the term to expire in 2025. The Arts Advisory Committee has 7 committee members on it with 2 alternates. And currently we have the 2 alternate positions vacant. The city clerk announced the vacancies for the Arts Advisory Committee. We noticed those vacancies on the city website, Facebook, social media pages. as well as send out emails to a lot of our artist lists. 5 applications were submitted for these vacancies. A subcommittee of commissioners interviewed these applicants on October 3rd, and the subcommittee recommends that Rajni Panchkari serve as the alternate one with the term of expiring in March 2024. And then the subcommittee also recommended Patricia Valentine serve the term of the alternate number 2 to March 2023. What makes this a little bit different that staff is recommending is just recently, a couple of years ago, we updated the bylaws to if one of the terms was vacant and that person was appointed within 6 months of the term expiring, the city council has the option to recommend that vacancy fill out the remainder of that term as well as extend it for another 2-year term. And so in this case, staff is recommending that for the position that was supposed to expire 2023, because it's within the 6 months, be expanded to 2025. So that is the recommendations being put forward by staff. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Are there any questions or can I go straight to public comment and then we'll do our thing? Okay, a public comment?
No public comment at this time.
Okay, I'm going to close public comment now. Any comments or questions before we entertain a motion? Yes. We do have a public comment. All right, I will reopen public comment. Let's go ahead and hear what they have to say.
Hello, speaker. Can you hear us?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm at your mercy. Okay, I am not able to see this item on the agenda packet. Am I missing anything? Or is it attached? I'm sorry, because the presentation was so short. I don't think my question will get answered. Pretty much all the questions I asked tonight were kind of ignored. So I'm just letting you know that I don't see the report to the staff's oral report. I mean, I don't see the written report to the oral presentation that was just given by the presenter. So I'm not quite sure. I didn't hear anything about art. I'm sorry. So I don't really know what you guys are trying to approve when, you know, there's really no context. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Kathy, can you confirm that both the item was on the posted agenda as well as part of the packet?
Yes, it's on the agenda and it's on packet page 69.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve Ranjini I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this last name, Venkatachari to serve as alternate 1 and Patricia Valentine to serve as alternate 2 for the Arts Advisory Committee.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. And are we going to do online or verbal vote? Online?
Question really quick.
Okay.
Do we need to put the term expiring to 2024 and 2025 in the motion?
I think if you could, that wouldn't hurt. And then that way we
Okay.
know the commission is recommending that the alternate number 2 would expire in 2025 instead of 2023, which would be
Like
to
to
fill
amend
out
your
this term.
motion?
Sorry.
Yeah.
I will amend my motion and I make a motion to approve Ranjini Venkatachari to serve as alternate 1 with a term to expire March 2024 and Patricia Valentine to serve as alternate number 2 with a term to expire March 2025.
Would you like to second the amended motion? Yes. Okay, we have a motion as amended and a second of the amended motion. Correct. We're ready for a vote. Okay, so we can go ahead. Thank you. Okay, so do we need to do a verbal vote since Steve's having technical
I
difficulties?
am not, it's just like, yeah.
I mean, since I've got 4 out of 5 casts. Well, on my screen. Really?
I'd like to have the
And it
Scarlet.
says waiting for Steve Breed. No, it does. I'm reading it off my screen, I promise.
Steve
Let's
votes
do,
yes.
let's do a verbal vote, Madam Clerk, okay?
Because I
Hey.
think mine says abstain.
It's not Steve. It's
Commissioner Breen,
I.
Commissioner Osland,
Aye.
Commissioner Mitra,
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez Lucy,
Aye.
Chair Keniston Lee.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, all righty. We're gonna go to item 9.1, the staff reports, recreation maintenance and operations reports. Kathy, do you want to say anything to it before we?
Just quick highlights, the reappointment furniture at ASUC, great partnership with the Senior Foundation, you should read about that. Our mini exhibit at City Hall is one right straight ahead, you'll see a wonderful little all together exhibit that was done by Apple. On the farm, this is blowing up at the farm. Getting some great numbers, 144 for apple pressing. So that's kind of the dream we have for these Saturdays, they grow and start to flourish like this, was doing what it's supposed to do. We're looking at the public works, public services things, the Rancho field safety netting, that's something that we had on there for a while. East Branch and Rancho Park vandalism, those are interesting stories. I will say that in the East Branch part one, I think it was Brad who was able to dig in a little bit and discover that it was some of our high school kids preparing for homecoming, and I got overzealous with the painting.
Oh.
They have all been officially apologized, and I think they're gonna help out on with that thing. And then the Parks Make Life Better fence painting, 745 linear feet of fence painting was done by volunteers. So how can you not love that?
Okay, all right. So do we have any public comment on this item before we do? Okay,
Yes,
so
we
let's
do.
go ahead and open public comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you, caller.
Okay, I could hardly hear Miss Hyman, but it doesn't matter. I was able to find her report. So my question is, why is it that we don't make any discrepancy in terms of cover charge for residents and non-residents when other cities actually do, like Danville, their residents only pay $5 and non-residents pay $6, but ours is like $6 across the board. And that makes me feel like I'm not valued because I'm actually paying taxes here, and yet you treat me just like someone who doesn't have anything here. It doesn't make me feel very good. So is it possible that you can please explain why, you are treating me like everyone else, even though I'm paying more taxes? I mean, I'm paying taxes here and non-residents don't. Thank you.
Actually, Kathy, can you explain the approach to, that was actually going to be one of my questions, was the approach to having a single fee on aquatics, for example, versus a resident versus non-resident fee?
Yeah, a good number, or in fact, almost all the ones of our programs that you find in the activity guide have a resident and a non-resident fee. I think when we went to the pool fee, what we felt like that you have a large number of people trying to come in a short amount of time, and to have everybody dealing with, are you a resident? Are you not a resident? How do you verify that very easily? So I've showed up at the pool and now I got to go get my driver's license so that I can prove that I'm a resident or non-resident. Okay, great. So now we'll do passes or punch cards or all these different things. So in an effort to get people to move in and out of the space, and in order to provide the best possible service and experience, having a one fee kind of solves some of those issues and problems.
Okay, thank you for answering that. Is there any other public comment? No? Okay, so let's start with Commissioner Breed. Anything on this 9?
Yes, two things. Awesome on Rancho extending the nets, because that was a major safety issue when I was running soccer. So thank you. It was huge. You almost hit me. So probably what helped. And then the second thing is I really want to applaud the host your event with us. And I was looking through the revenue numbers that we're getting through some of the rentals and stuff. And I think staff is doing a really nice job leveraging the assets that we have as a city and making them professional, but also creating awareness on it. So I know that wasn't touched on, but I thought it was really well done. So.
Commissioner Ellis, anything on 9?
I need to get into core power and flexibility. There are 18 on the wait list. I need to get my name on that one. That one is great. Nothing else.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez Lucy.
I don't have anything on that one.
Commissioner Mutra, anything on that one, on 9?
No, I'm good. This is all
Okay.
good work.
You know, I was just going to ask about page 74 in the packet, the facilities report on rental revenues for group picnics and indoor facilities. Says we're at 39% of forecasted projection. Is that fiscal year for the fiscal year? Are we, and also 25% of forecasted projection for the indoor facilities? Are we really behind? Do we have enough time to make those forecasted projections?
Actually, well, if you think about where we are in the year.
Yeah.
So, you know, our fiscal year, so July, August,
Right.
September is our.
So we're on track, you think?
25% is on track.
Okay.
There are fluctuations, so we can have some seasons that we generate a lot more revenue, because spring is big for weddings.
Yeah.
We'll often see a bump.
Okay.
Some are less. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, we think we're on track or ahead.
Good. Okay, good to know. All right, so I'm going to go to 10, item 10, commission liaison reports and announcements. I'll go ahead and kick it off with city council. The meeting on September 27th, there was a proclamation declaring September National Service Dog Month, and there were 2 adorable service dogs here in city council chambers. They also issued a proclamation declaring September as Library Card Sign Up Month. And then there was recognition of the San Ramon Football Club for their participation in I believe they went to Spain, San Sebastian, Spain for tournaments. So that was kind of cool. And it was interesting because Councilmember Perkins commented on, as part of I believe it was on the consent agenda, on the fact that there were 6 new shade structures that were part of consent. So that's part of that effort that we know our community really would like that. The poet laureate was reappointed, Jeneth Joe Gerhart Utchin. There, I got it out. There was the Open Space Advisory Committee report, and they are now calling it a vision for preservation. So it's not so much a plan anymore, but a vision. So they were very mindful in their selection of that verbiage. Let's see here. Oh gosh, there's some more. Sorry, guys. I think that was it. Those are the salient points for that one. And then last night was a council meeting. Assembly member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan gave an interesting update on some state legislation that she's worked on throughout the year. One of the ones that we've been most hearing about is AB 988, which is the mobile mental health crisis response effort. But you can watch the coverage to see she dealt with everything from women's access to reproductive health, environment, drought and fire, illegal dumping, hate crimes. There's actually legislation on catalytic converter theft, and we know that we experience that in our community. So if you're interested, you can give it a listen. And a proclamation was issued declaring October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And apparently there will be a Domestic Violence Awareness Month vigil on the 27th in front of City Hall, I understand. So if anybody is interested, I don't know what time that would be. You know, Kathy?
I saw the flyer, but I don't know.
Okay, maybe you can shoot that to us. Okay, that would be great. And then there was a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a reimbursement agreement with the San Ramon Historic Foundation for a renovation of the organic garden at Forest Home Farms. And so our own Carol Lopez Lucy was there to represent, and Carol Rowley was in Hawaii but called in. She's the president of the Historic Foundation. So that was neat. And that did pass. A resolution adopting the affordable rental housing fee waiver policy for all affordable housing projects. So if every unit in a particular development is in the affordable category, and this is very specific, I won't go into it now, they are proposing to waive some of the fees tied to that. So. And then there was an introduction. Oh, this was kind of interesting. Introduction of an ordinance to bring our building standards code up to state standards. So it's like they have updated the codes, the building codes. So we need to make sure that our ordinance reflects that. So kind of crazy that I said that was interesting, but I did find it interesting. So did you go to any meetings, Commissioner Breed?
I did actually.
Oh.
So, super excited.
Super excited.
Thank you. Teen council. So yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. So a couple of things on teen councils. They took notes, appointed committee liaison for all their committees, which was super impressive. And I really like they're trying to get everyone involved on teen council. So and they're double checking. So I think that's really neat. I wanted to learn more about the Wishing Tree subcommittee, by the way. So I didn't ask during it, but they have really unique committees that I think resonate with the teens. So anyways, total separate. They also, I think you guys saw in Kathy's report, the Outstanding Teen Citizenship Award. They've approved the flyer, and obviously it's out, and they're going for Outstanding Teen. So, you know, if you have any children that might want to apply for that, I think that would be a good thing to do. And so they're going to try and recognize the person on December 1st at the Chamber of Commerce Award Dinner. So those of you who are planning that, and then also November 15th is their goal to approve the winner, and the deadline is October 28th. I did that totally backwards, but anyways, so at least you have the dates. And then they are going to move and something we should think about, but due to finals, their December teen council meeting will move. So I'm not sure what the date. I think it's December 6th. So didn't even think about finals with meetings with them. So just kind of an interesting tabloid. So that's my report on teen council. It was amazing.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So unfortunately, I missed our senior advisory committee meeting, and my liaison who sat in for me, she's not here tonight. So we'll have to wait to hear about that next time. But the Open Space Advisory Committee, I did attend that on October 10th. And the committee business was to discuss standing subcommittees versus ad hoc committees. The Open Space Advisory Committee has really grown, and as far as how they're doing their work together, and they've created a lot more focused committee work. And so they're going to be changing kind of how they're operating and doing more like how we have our facilities committee, program committee. So they're going to have official meetings that will be posted ahead of time, as we do when they have those discussions. And then they reviewed their 2022 annual goals and made some assignments on leaders to initiate some of the goals.
And then you had me go to.
Yes.
tour
Yes. So the
of
gardens,
South
South Gardens. Thank you.
So, I remember them reporting that there are 90 spaces, and that currently 40% of them are rented. So it's the less used of the two gardens. But the senior advisory committee essentially had a tour and gave some feedback on possibly, how we can use the facility better. They talked about opening it to the school district. Maybe these were ideas from the senior advisory committee, having the kids do some gardening, which was a neat idea, having gardening or bonsai classes, container gardening. Over there, as you might imagine, the ground squirrels are a challenge. They've always been a challenge. And there's a certain sun issue. But having outdoor classroom space, they thought would be interesting. So there were so many great, I won't go through all the ideas, but there's so many great ideas that the seniors offered. So it was a really neat exchange. And I'm sure as we continue to evaluate the use of that, property. One thing we did talk about, to the point of what we just discussed, is, with people living in denser housing and apartments and so forth, maybe there'll be more demand for gardens because they'd like to get over and get their hands in the dirt and so forth. So that was fun to see. Sure, Lopez Lucy.
All right, there were two planning commissions that happened. The one, let's see, in September was a Bishop Ranch 1A. And that is in uniform with the City Walk Master Plan. That will be 381 units. There is a park contemplated for this. There will be studios up to 3 bedrooms. So they have had the formal application. And so that will be coming up for approval. Then on October 4th, the public meeting was on the marketplace that was coming in with their formal application. And there was great discussion on this because between the master plan and the spatial meeting plans, some say they don't jive and someone say something and the other says something else. So they asked the assistant attorney, but they're still going to get more information. They don't really particularly like how there'll be 3 stories, individual units. They won't be condominiums, will be 3 individual units with space between them. There will be no affordable housing in them, low income or any, these will be high end because they will be like 4 to 5 bedrooms. They will be, areas that will not fit in that preview. They have an issue on Starbucks that will be saving, and they say, well, they'll paint it and add some boards or something, but the planning commission believes that if they're going to do what they're doing, they need to redo Starbucks and they need better landscaping. They want more, they want the company that owns that or building these, they want them to do more upkeep for their all the buildings, and they say they're all run down. There's not planters that have not been planted for years, and also they're not really happy with the program that they have initiated. So they will be then going to hear at the next meeting, they'll be discussing these issues, but it was very interesting. And on October 18th, there are going to be some revisions to the El Nido project, and they'll be doing a environmental review on 2481 Nearwood Drive. And also the wireless facility that's going in was approved. There's down the way, and there was no EDAC meeting. There haven't been any of those meetings for several months. So that's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Mitra.
Yeah, so for this meeting, I don't have any update because library committee, the quarterly meeting is this week.
Okay.
And also same as the innovation technology meeting.
Oh.
It was canceled. It was supposed to be last month. It was canceled.
We will get you to a meeting. We will.
I know. I know. One day.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else? Otherwise.
I just want to recognize Commissioner Lopez Lucy for the great job that the Oktoberfest was. I know she led that. And Commissioner Mita, I learned a lot on Sunday with you. You were a great leader during that event and handled unique swells very well to keep the seas calm. And you were amazing to take the time to educate me on Taj Puja. So nice job on the event. So.
Well, I will say that with the Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think, had a good time, but unfortunately, we had contracted for 500 people and only had 300 show up. So I had to do a lot with the food that was left over. So our pastor of my church does go to to the homeless And so I took all the broths and I took the strudel and all and took them off the large plates, took them home and put them in aluminum pans and boiled the broth so that we could end in the warm German potato salad that I put in aluminum cans also. And so some of the broth and all that then went to the homeless people. So that it just didn't go to waste, because I just couldn't throw that food away. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And then we had some juice that was donated. And also that was in glass bottles. And so none of that sold well at all. So we was looking around where to get it, and since it was glass bottles, the food banks would not take it because it's glass bottles and they don't usually take the glass bottles. So Carol Raleigh did find that St. Raymond's would take those. So we did, that had to be done. So everybody had a good time, but we just didn't have enough.
I understand we have public comment. Okay, let's open that up.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I just want to comment that this total fee waived last night by the councils, less the mayor, who wasn't there, was the whopping $2.5 million that could have gone to school as well as parks, but they were wiped out. So that was unfortunate. For the teen council meeting, I had heard the public is requesting for the teen council meetings to meet not on Tuesday nights, because these kids or students deserve to attend a school district board meeting, which also fall on a Tuesday, as well as regular city council meetings and planning commissioner meetings usually fall on Tuesday at the same time as well. So it's almost like a punishment to them that, you know, they are being forced to not have to participate in those three important meetings if, you know, they wish to, or that they really should, you know, focus more on, because those are regular meetings. So, you know, I hope the city will please take the public's comment and consider moving teen council meeting to a different night. I happened to have been at the senior advisory meeting. It went really well. I think it was their first physical meeting, and Mr. Cox did a wonderful job making sure the facility was really nice and welcoming. As a public, I felt really respected because everything was in place. And, you know, the staff was, I think, I'm sorry, I forgot her name, but she was extremely friendly and kind to have directed the public to where they're supposed to be, and really diligent in delivering the public speaker cards back and forth. So I'm really appreciative of her help. Could it be Becky? I think she was Becky, but if I remember the right name wrong, I'm sorry, but I appreciate you. So I think one thing that jumped out that they're working on is the scarecrows, the scarecrow scavenger hunt that is being, calendared for this month. And I think the seniors are going to make a scarecrow with a wig, a gray wig. And I think that is kind of fun, and I will definitely look up that particular scarecrow. The other one that I went to was the Planning Commission meeting about Marketplace. I think so many residents have spoken up about losing the ability to walk and shop nearby their residences because Nob Hill is gone. But I think it's going to fall on deaf ears again. For the past few meetings, I don't feel our council members really care about the public comments at all.